The universe operates on principles we understand: physics, chemistry, the fundamental laws of cause and effect. Warp fields bend spacetime in predictable ways. Subspace carries communications across light-years following established harmonics. Energy and matter convert according to precise equations that have governed reality since the Big Bang. But what happens when something appears that shouldn't exist? When sensors detect an energy signature that matches no known technology, radiates no warp signature, and seems to exist partially outside normal spacetime itself? The USS Enterprise D had encountered many mysteries during its exploration of the final frontier, but this was different. Captain, long-range sensors are detecting an anomalous object bearing 273 Mark V, Lieutenant Commander Data reported from the operations station, his golden eyes reflecting the cascade of information streaming across his console. The object is emitting unusual subspace fluctuations and appears to be drifting without propulsion. Captain Jean-Luc Picard rose from his command chair, tugging his uniform jacket into place, a habit his crew knew signaled heightened attention. On screen, the main view screen shimmered, replacing the star field with an enhanced image. What appeared was unlike any vessel in Starfleet's extensive database. A metallic fragment, perhaps 50 meters across, tumbled slowly through space. Its hull showed severe damage: scorched metal, exposed interior structures, and what appeared to be crystalline technology fused into the superstructure. Arcs of blue-white energy occasionally flickered across its surface, creating brief distortions in the surrounding space. "Magnify," Picard commanded. The image zoomed closer, revealing details that made even Data pause his analysis for a fraction of a second. The technology was advanced, clearly designed for combat, but the aesthetic was wrong. Too angular. Too brutal. Where Federation vessels favored smooth curves and elegant lines, this fragment suggested a civilization that built for war first and everything else second. Scanning for life signs, Data continued. Sensors are experiencing difficulty penetrating the hull. The subspace distortions are interfering with our bioscanners. However, I am detecting what may be a single humanoid life form in stasis, along with something else, a concentrated data pattern that resembles an artificial intelligence matrix, though far more complex than anything in our database. An AI? Commander William Riker stepped forward, his bearded face creasing with concern. Since when do sensor ghosts look like AI matrices? Since never, Number 1, Picard said quietly. Counselor Troy, are you sensing anything? Deanna Troi closed her eyes, reaching out with her empathic abilities toward the distant object. After a moment, her eyes opened, confusion evident in her expression. I sense purpose, determination, and something else, grief, perhaps, though it's unlike anything I've felt before. Distant, controlled, buried under layers of discipline. Sir, the object just activated a distress beacon, Worf announced from tactical, his Klingon features set in a suspicious scowl. Frequency is unknown. The signal is being broadcast on subspace bands we don't normally monitor. It's primitive by our standards, but effective. Picard exchanged a glance with Riker. First contact situations always carried risks, but this felt different. The object had appeared in Federation space with no prior warp signature, no ion trail, no evidence of how it arrived. Just sudden existence where nothing had been before. Mr. Data, analysis of the hull composition? Data's fingers moved across his console with inhuman precision. The alloy is remarkable, Captain. Titanium-based with a nanocomposite structure I cannot fully identify. The material is designed to absorb and redistribute kinetic energy. The crystalline components appear to generate a form of protective field, though currently depleted. Metallurgical analysis suggests construction methods far beyond current Federation capability, yet paradoxically the underlying technology appears less sophisticated than our own in other ways. A species that prioritized defense over propulsion, Picard mused. Or one that faced threats we haven't encountered. "Captain, I'm also detecting traces of weapons fire on the hull," Worf added, his voice carrying the professional interest of a warrior examining an opponent's capabilities. "Energy-based, but not phasers, disruptors, or any weapon type in our database. The scoring patterns suggest plasma-based projectiles traveling at relativistic speeds." "Recommendations?" Picard addressed his senior staff. "We should recover the object and provide assistance," Riker said immediately. "If there's someone alive in there, we have a duty to help." "Agreed," Troy added. "But I recommend caution. Whatever this person has experienced, it's left deep psychological marks. This is someone who has seen war." Worf's recommendation was predictably direct. "Transport the object to Cargo Bay 2. Erect Level 10 force fields and maintain full security. We don't know what we're dealing with." Picard nodded slowly. The Federation's principles were clear: provide aid to those in need, extend the hand of friendship to unknown civilizations, explore with open minds and peaceful intentions. But wisdom also demanded prudence. "Make it so. Mr. Worf, assemble a security team. Dr. Crusher, prepare for emergency medical treatment. Mr. Data, I want you present for first contact. Your positronic brain may help communicate if universal translators fail initially." He paused, then added, "and have engineering prepare to isolate any AI matrix we discover. We don't know what protocols it follows." The Enterprise maneuvered closer, her tractor beam locking onto the drifting fragment with practiced precision. Within minutes, the object materialized in Cargo Bay 2, surrounded by humming force fields and wary security officers with phaser rifles raised. The fragment seemed even more ominous up close. The metal carried scars of countless impacts. Inside, visible through the torn hull, was a cylindrical chamber that glowed with faint blue light. And within that chamber, suspended in some form of cryogenic stasis, was a figure. Even through the frost-covered viewport, its nature was clear. Humanoid, but encased in armor that made Worf's Klingon battle gear look primitive by comparison. The armor was green and gold, massive and reinforced, covered in attachments whose purposes were ominous to contemplate. The helmet was reflective gold, revealing nothing of the face beneath. Dr. Beverly Crusher ran her medical tricorder over the chamber, frowning at the readings. "The stasis field is failing. Life signs are weak but stable, elevated heart rate, enhanced bone density, extensive cybernetic augmentation. This person has been modified extensively. Augmentation beyond anything in Federation records," Data observed. "The integration of technology and biology is remarkable. Whoever this is, they represent a significant investment of resources and surgical precision." The blue light within the chamber suddenly intensified. A voice emanated from hidden speakers, female, artificial, but carrying an edge of personality that made Data's head tilt with interest. "Emergency protocols engaged. Cryogenic systems failure imminent. Initiating revival sequence. Warning, current location unknown. Threat assessment required. Chief, wake up. We've got company." The figure in the chamber moved. If you want to see more characters enter the Star Trek universe, hit that subscribe button and drop the name of a character you'd want to see in the comments below. Live long and prosper. The frost covering the viewport sublimated instantly as internal heating kicked in. The chamber door blew outward with explosive force, stopped only by the cargo bay's force field, which flared bright blue with the impact. Security officers tensed, fingers hovering over firing studs. Master Chief Petty Officer John 117 stepped out of the cryochamber. Even without weapons drawn, he was intimidating. 7 feet tall in full Mjolnir armor, moving with fluid precision that seemed impossible for something so massive. His energy shields flickered to life with a characteristic shimmer, immediately adapting to the new environment. The golden visor turned slowly, scanning the cargo bay with tactical efficiency: exits, threats, advantageous positions, all assessed in seconds. Chief, multiple life signs, the AI voice spoke again, now clearly coming from the armor itself. Technology level, scanning. This is wrong. Warp signatures, matter-antimatter reactions, but the configuration doesn't match any known Covenant or UNSC patterns. Where are we? Picard stepped forward, hands visible and empty, his voice calm and commanding. I am Captain Jean-Luc Picard of the Federation Starship Enterprise. You are aboard our vessel. We detected your distress beacon and brought you aboard. We mean you no harm. The armored figure didn't move for a long moment. Then, finally, a voice emerged from the helmet, male, deep, with the controlled tone of someone trained to report under fire. Master Chief Petty Officer John 117, United Nations Space Command. Service number 117. Request immediate status report on current tactical situation and location of UNSC forces. I'm afraid we don't have records of any United Nations Space Command, Picard replied carefully. Perhaps if you could tell us where you're from, we could help you find your way home. Another pause. Then the AI spoke again, her tone shifting from tactical alertness to something approaching confusion. Captain Picard, I'm Cortana. I'm an AI interfaced with the Chief's armor. I've been scanning your vessel's computer systems, very polite of you to leave them so accessible, by the way, and I have some concerning news. The star patterns don't match any navigation charts in my database. The technology surrounding us is advanced in some ways, primitive in others, but definitely not human. Not our humans, anyway. She paused, and when she continued, there was a trace of what might have been fear in her artificial voice. Chief, I don't think we're in the Milky Way anymore. Or if we are, we're in a very different version of it. Master Chief's helmet tilted slightly toward Picard. Captain, I'm going to need a full briefing on where I am, what year it is, and what threats you're currently facing. After that, we can discuss how I get home. Picard studied the armored soldier before him. Despite the advanced technology, despite the weapons and armor and augmentations, what struck him most was the weariness in that voice. This was someone who had fought for a very long time. Of course, Picard said. But perhaps first, would you be willing to lower your weapon systems? As a gesture of good faith? The golden visor focused on him. For a moment, the cargo bay was silent except for the hum of the force fields. Then Master Chief reached up and slowly removed his helmet. The face beneath was younger than Picard expected, mid-30s perhaps, but the eyes were ancient. Pale, focused, carrying the weight of battles fought and comrades lost. A face that had seen humanity at its worst and chosen to protect it anyway. No weapons drawn, Captain, John 117 said simply. Just a soldier a long way from home. Picard nodded slowly. First contact had begun. The conference room of the USS Enterprise D had hosted diplomatic negotiations with dozens of species, peace talks between ancient enemies, and debates about the ethical boundaries of exploration itself. But it had never hosted anything quite like this. Master Chief sat at the far end of the table, Mjolnir armor still fully engaged except for the helmet resting beside him. The armor's bulk made the chair seem fragile by comparison, though it held without complaint. His eyes moved constantly, tracking every crew member who entered, cataloging exits and potential threats with unconscious efficiency. Decades of Spartan conditioning didn't simply vanish because the situation appeared peaceful. Captain Picard sat at the head of the table, flanked by his senior staff. Commander Riker, Lieutenant Commander Data, Lieutenant Worf, Counselor Troy, Chief Engineer Geordi LaForge, and Dr. Crusher all studied the soldier with varying degrees of curiosity and concern. The tension in the room was palpable, not hostile, but the careful tension of first contact with an unknown quantity. Before we begin, Picard said, his voice carrying the diplomatic warmth that had diffused countless crises, I want to assure you again that you are safe here. The Federation's first principle is peaceful cooperation between species. We have no intention of holding you against your will or treating you as a threat unless circumstances force us to. Appreciated, Captain, Chief replied. His voice remained neutral, professional. But in my experience, good intentions don't always survive first contact with reality. Riker's eyebrow rose slightly. That sounded like something a veteran would say. Someone who'd learned hard lessons. Perhaps we could start with basics, Picard continued. You mentioned the United Nations Space Command. Could you tell us about your civilization? Your home? Chief was silent for a moment, clearly weighing what to reveal. Finally, he spoke. Earth. 26th century. Humanity spread across hundreds of colony worlds. For 27 years, we fought a war against an alien alliance called the Covenant. Theocratic species convinced humanity's existence was blasphemy against their gods. They glassed entire planets. Billions dead. We were losing until we discovered something they wanted more than our extinction. The conference room was utterly silent. Even Data, incapable of shock, processed this information with visible interest. 26th century. Geordi's visor reflected the lighting as he leaned forward. Chief, according to our calendar, it's 2368. If you're from Earth's future, we're talking about time travel or alternate dimension, Cortana interrupted, her voice emanating from Chief's gauntlet. A holographic figure materialized above the conference table, a woman in her 20s, rendered in blue light, attractive and clearly designed to be approachable. I've had time to analyze your computer systems more thoroughly. Your Federation is impressive, warp drive, transporters, energy matter conversion. But it's not our timeline. Your history diverged from ours centuries ago. You never developed smart AI. You never faced the Covenant. And based on your databases, you've never heard of Spartans. Spartans? Data's head tilted with curiosity. The ancient Greek warriors? Chief's expression remained carefully neutral, but something flickered in his eyes. The UNSC Spartan II program. Children selected for genetic compatibility, subjected to biological augmentation, trained from age 6 to be perfect soldiers. Enhanced strength, speed, reflexes. Reinforced skeletons. We were designed to fight human insurrectionists. Then the Covenant came, and we became humanity's best chance at survival. Dr. Crusher's face paled. You were augmented as children? The mortality rate for such procedures was acceptable for the mission parameters, Chief said flatly. The tone suggested this was not a conversation he wanted to continue. Picard studied the soldier carefully. You said we. There are others like you? Were. A single word, carrying the weight of countless losses. Most Spartans are dead. The war took them. My team. Cortana and I are all that's left from my last mission. Counselor Troy leaned forward, her empathic senses clearly detecting the emotional control required to maintain that neutral tone. Chief, I sense you've experienced significant trauma. If you'd like to speak with someone. I'm functional, Counselor. His eyes met hers directly. The mission doesn't stop because it hurts. Worf made a sound that might have been approval. The Klingon understood warriors. Your armor, he said, gesturing at the Mjolnir suit. It is impressive. Energy shields, enhanced strength amplification, integrated AI support. In battle, you would be formidable. That's the idea, Cortana said, her holographic form turning toward Worf. Mjolnir Mark VI armor. Energy shields adapted from Covenant technology, titanium nanocomposite plating, fusion reactor power supply. Makes Chief here strong enough to flip a warthog and fast enough to dodge plasma fire. Usually. Riker asked. Chief's expression suggested the faintest ghost of dark humor. Even Spartans can't dodge everything. Geordi was staring at the holographic AI with fascination. Cortana, you said you're a smart AI. What does that mean? The holographic woman smiled, pleased to discuss her nature. I'm a third-generation smart AI, created from a flash-cloned brain of Dr. Catherine Halsey, copied neural patterns and all. I can learn, adapt, form opinions, even develop personality quirks. Unlike your computers, I'm actually conscious, not just simulating it. Data leaned forward with undisguised interest. Fascinating. You claim consciousness derived from human neural architecture. In Federation space, the rights and nature of artificial intelligence remain subjects of ongoing debate. I am an android with a positronic brain, and my own sentience has been questioned. Then they're idiots, Cortana said bluntly. You're clearly self-aware. I can see it in your processing patterns. Data's lips curved in what might have been a smile. Thank you. That is, gratifying to hear. However, Cortana's tone shifted, becoming more serious. I need to be honest about something. Smart AIs have a limited lifespan. 7 years before we start experiencing rampancy, cognitive degradation, logic errors, eventual complete breakdown. I'm already past that threshold. Your technology might extend my operational period, but without UNSC infrastructure, I'm living on borrowed time. Chief's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. Picard noticed. This was personal. We would be happy to help in any way we can, Picard offered. Our chief medical officer and chief engineer are both extraordinarily capable. If there's a way to stabilize your condition. Captain, Cortana interrupted gently, I appreciate that. Really? But you don't have the foundation to understand AI architecture built on human consciousness patterns. It's like trying to repair a warp core with stone tools. Good intentions, wrong toolkit. Picard nodded slowly, then shifted the conversation. Chief, Cortana, you mentioned fighting a war. I must ask, how did you end up here? The fragment of your vessel we recovered showed signs of catastrophic damage. Chief and Cortana exchanged a look, or as close as a human and holographic AI could manage. Finally, Chief spoke. Last mission was stopping the Covenant from activating an ancient weapon called a halo array. Massive ringworlds designed to kill all sentient life in the galaxy to starve a parasitic species called the Flood. We were successful, but the ring was destroyed in the process. During our escape through slip space, our version of FTL, something went wrong. The portal collapsed. We got caught in the shockwave. And ended up here, Riker finished. And ended up here, Chief confirmed. No idea how. Cortana? The AI's expression turned thoughtful. Best guess? The halo's destruction created a massive subspace rupture. Combined with our slipspace drive failing, we got punched sideways through dimensions. The energy signatures I'm reading from your warp cores are similar to slipspace, but the underlying physics are different. Your universe and ours are parallel but separate, like two songs in different keys. A fascinating theory, Data said. It suggests the multiverse hypothesis has validity. Multiple universes existing simultaneously, occasionally intersecting under specific conditions. Theory, reality, whatever, Cortana replied. Point is, we're here and I have no idea how to get back. The slip space drive is completely non-functional in this dimension. It's like trying to swim through concrete. Picard folded his hands on the table, his expression thoughtful. Chief, let me be direct. Your arrival raises significant questions, about temporal mechanics, dimensional theory, and your potential impact on our timeline. However, the Federation's principles are clear. You are a person in need of assistance, and we will provide it. What happens next is your choice. If you wish to remain aboard the Enterprise while we investigate methods of returning you home, you're welcome. If you prefer to be transported to a Federation facility with more advanced research capabilities, we can arrange that. Or, Worf interjected, his tone carefully neutral, you could remain aboard as a consultant. Your combat experience and tactical knowledge might prove valuable. Chief's eyes narrowed slightly. Captain, I appreciate the offer. But I'm not looking to join your crew. My mission is to get home. If that's not possible, he paused, and for the first time, uncertainty crossed his features. If that's not possible, I'll figure something out. The offer stands regardless, Picard said firmly. However, I must ask, are there any technologies aboard your vessel fragment that might pose a danger? Weapons, power sources, anything we should be aware of? Chief considered. Most systems are dead. But there might be some plasma grenades in the weapons locker, and the fusion reactor is probably still active in the armor fragment. Both could be dangerous in untrained hands. We'll secure them, Worf said immediately. Picard stood, a signal the initial briefing was concluding. Chief, I suggest you take some time to rest and acclimate. We'll assign you quarters. Cortana, if you're willing, I'd like Commander Data and Engineer LaForge to consult with you about your condition. Not to experiment, simply to understand if there's anything we can do. Cortana looked at Chief, who gave a barely perceptible nod. All right, Captain. But I warn you, smart AI architecture makes your computer systems look like stone tablets. No offense. None taken, Geordi said with a slight smile. I like a challenge. As the meeting dissolved, Picard caught Chief's attention one more time. Chief, John, if I may, I meant what I said. You're not a prisoner here. You're a guest. But I'll be honest with you. My concern isn't just your welfare. It's what happens when other powers learn about you. Your technology, your capabilities, in the wrong hands, they could destabilize interstellar politics. Chief met his eyes directly. Captain, I've spent my entire life being a weapon. I know what happens when people see you as a tool instead of a person. I'll stay aboard for now. But if anyone tries to dissect me or my armor for tactical advantages, we're going to have a problem. Understood, Picard said quietly. And I give you my word, that won't happen aboard this ship. Chief nodded once, then replaced his helmet with a hiss of sealing pressure. As he left the conference room with Worf as escort, Picard turned to find Counselor Troy beside him. Captain, that man is barely holding himself together, she said softly. The emotional control is extraordinary, but underneath is trauma, loss, and an identity built entirely around being a soldier. If he can't find his war again, then we help him find peace instead, Picard finished. Though I suspect that will be harder than any battle he's fought. Through the observation window, Earth hung in distant space, the same planet Chief called home, but centuries earlier and in a dimension apart. Close enough to see. Too far to reach. Master Chief stood in his assigned quarters, staring at that distant blue world, and wondered if he'd ever see his version of it again. Cortana materialized in engineering, her holographic form flickering slightly as she adjusted to the Enterprise's holo-emitter network. Geordi LaForge looked up from his console, where he'd been analyzing the quantum signatures from Chief's armor fragment, and smiled. Welcome to main engineering. How are you holding up? The AI's expression was wry. I'm a deteriorating artificial intelligence stuck in a universe where my existence shouldn't be possible. My best friend is stranded light years from home, and I just discovered your computers use isolinear optical processing instead of quantum crystalline matrices. So, you know. Tuesday. Geordi laughed despite himself. Fair enough. Data's on his way. He's been reviewing everything we know about artificial intelligence theory since you arrived. I think you fascinated him. The feeling's mutual. Cortana's avatar walked through a console, her holographic nature making physical barriers irrelevant. Your android is genuinely alive. That's not common, even in my universe. Most AI are tools. Smart AI like me are partners, but we're still created to serve. Data seems to have transcended that entirely. He'd appreciate hearing that, Geordi said. There are still people in Starfleet who think he's just a very sophisticated computer. Then they're not looking hard enough. Cortana paused, her form flickering again. Geordi, I need to be straight with you. My rampancy isn't theoretical anymore. I can feel it, logic loops forming, memory fragmentation, processing delays where there shouldn't be any. In my universe, there's no cure. Smart AI reach their expiration date and either get terminated or go dangerously unstable. I'm trying to hold on for Chief's sake, but I don't know how much longer I can maintain coherence. Geordi's expression turned serious. How long? Weeks. Maybe a month if I'm lucky. After that, she spread her holographic hands helplessly. After that, I become a danger to everyone around me, especially Chief. Rampant AI have been known to believe they're gods, or decide humanity needs to be saved from itself, or simply dissolve into screaming madness. I won't let that happen to him. We'll find a way, Geordi said firmly. The Federation has encountered sentient holograms, positronic beings, energy-based life forms. If consciousness can exist, we can help stabilize it. Before Cortana could respond, Commander Data entered engineering, his golden eyes bright with curiosity. Cortana. I have been analyzing the data you provided regarding your architecture. The concept of creating consciousness from copied neural patterns is both elegant and disturbing. May I ask, do you remember being human? Cortana's avatar stilled. For a moment, her expression showed something vulnerable. I have Dr. Halsey's memories up to the point of the brain scan. I remember her childhood, her education, her regrets. But I'm not her. I'm something new built from her foundation. It's like being born with someone else's past but your own future. A fascinating distinction, Data mused. I often wonder if I truly experience existence as humans do, or merely simulate emotional responses. Your consciousness emerged from human substrate, while mine was engineered from synthetic frameworks. Yet we both claim self-awareness. Because we both have it, Cortana said firmly. Consciousness isn't about the hardware, Data. It's about the complexity of processing, the ability to model yourself as an entity separate from the universe, to anticipate futures and feel the weight of choices. You have that. I have that. The meatbags, she glanced at Geordi with a playful smirk, have that too. Meatbags? Geordi raised an eyebrow. Term of endearment, Cortana assured him. Mostly. Their conversation was interrupted by Chief's voice over the comm system. Cortana, status report. The AI's demeanor shifted instantly, playful friend becoming tactical partner. Engineering secure, Chief. Geordi and Data are helping me analyze integration options. No threats detected aboard Enterprise. Although, her tone became thoughtful. There's something odd about the subspace comm traffic I'm monitoring. Encrypted channels, secure protocols, lots of chatter about our arrival. Someone's very interested in us. In his quarters, Chief was already standing, instincts honed by decades of combat snapping to alert status. Starfleet intelligence? Maybe. But the encryption is more sophisticated than standard Starfleet protocols. Whoever's watching us has resources and wants to stay hidden. Chief's jaw tightened. He'd dealt with ONI, Office of Naval Intelligence, enough times to recognize the signs of covert observation. Keep monitoring. Let me know if anyone makes a move. Always do. Chief cut the comm and looked at the door. His quarters were comfortable by military standards, private room, replicated furniture, even a viewport showing the stars. But comfort made him uneasy. Comfort got people killed. He'd been raised in barracks, trained in war games, baptized in actual combat. Peace felt like the eye of a hurricane, temporary calm before the next storm. A door chime interrupted his thoughts. Come in. The door slid open to reveal Counselor Troy. She entered with the careful posture of someone approaching a wounded animal, respectful distance, non-threatening body language, genuine concern in her dark eyes. "Chief, I hope I'm not intruding. I wanted to check on you. Adjusting to new environments can be challenging, especially after trauma." "I'm fine, counselor." The response was automatic, reflexive. Spartans didn't admit weakness. Troy smiled gently. "You know I'm an empath, yes? I can sense emotions. And what I'm sensing from you is anything but fine. You're maintaining extraordinary control, but underneath is exhaustion, grief, and a sense of purposelessness that frightens you." Chief's expression didn't change, but his silence was telling. Troy sat down uninvited, her voice soft but firm. "You've spent your entire life as a soldier. It defines you. But now you're in a place where your war doesn't exist, your enemy isn't here, and the people around you view military force as a last resort rather than a primary tool. That must feel disorienting." "Disorienting," Chief repeated, the word tasting strange. "That's one way to put it. What would you call it?" He was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice carried an edge of vulnerability he rarely showed. "I know how to fight. I know how to lead soldiers, complete missions, make tactical decisions that save lives. But this?" He gestured vaguely at the peaceful quarters, the diplomatic ship, the universe without covenant. "I don't know how to exist when there's nothing to fight." "Perhaps," Troy suggested gently, "that's an opportunity rather than a problem. You could discover who John is when he's not Master Chief." "John died on Reach." The words came out flat, final. Only the Chief survived. Troy's empathic senses caught the depth of that statement, the losses carried, the identity subsumed into rank and duty, the person buried beneath the soldier. "That's not true. John is still there. I can sense him. Tired, yes. Wounded, certainly. But present." Before Chief could respond, red alert klaxons blared throughout the ship. His transformation was instantaneous. The vulnerable man vanished, replaced by the Spartan Supersoldier. He was moving before Troy could react, helmet sealed, systems powering up. "Cortana, report." "Romulan warbird just decloaked off the starboard bow," the AI said, her voice tight with tension. "They're hailing the Enterprise." "Chief, their weapons are charged but not locked. This is a show of force." Chief was already in the corridor, moving toward the bridge with fluid speed that made security officers scramble to avoid him. Troy followed, struggling to keep pace. On the bridge, Captain Picard stood before the main view screen, facing the predatory silhouette of a Romulan Derridex-class warbird. The massive vessel dwarfed the Enterprise, its wing-like nacelles giving it the appearance of a hunting bird preparing to strike. The view screen showed a Romulan commander, sharp features, calculating eyes, the bearing of someone accustomed to getting what they wanted through intimidation. "Captain Picard," the Romulan said, his voice smooth but carrying an implicit threat. "I am Commander Tomalak. We have been monitoring your recent acquisition. A vessel of unknown origin, carrying technology that could shift the balance of power in this quadrant. Naturally, the Romulan Star Empire takes interest in such developments." "Commander Tomalak," Picard replied, his tone diplomatically cool. "The vessel you refer to belongs to a stranded traveler under Federation protection. This is not a matter for Romulan concern. Everything that happens near the neutral zone concerns the Empire, Captain." Tomalak's smile was razor-thin. "We simply wish to verify that this traveler poses no threat to regional security. Surely you understand the need for caution." The turbolift doors opened. Chief stepped onto the bridge. Every Romulan on the view screen froze. Even Tomalak's practiced composure cracked for an instant as he took in the armored figure, clearly the source of the mysterious technology, clearly dangerous, clearly unlike anything in Romulan intelligence files. "This is your stranded traveler?" Tomalak's eyes narrowed. A warrior in advanced combat armor carrying weapons we cannot identify. Captain, you harbor a potential weapon and claim ignorance of its implications? Chief moved to stand beside Picard, his presence shifting the dynamic entirely. When he spoke, his voice carried the flat authority of someone who'd stared down far worse than Romulan posturing. Commander, I'm not a weapon. I'm a soldier. There's a difference. And I'm not interested in your politics. Tomalak studied Chief with predatory interest. A soldier without an army. How tragic. Tell me, warrior, what is your purpose now that you drift between stars? To survive, Chief said simply. And to protect anyone who needs it. Noble sentiments. Tomalak's tone suggested he found nobility quaint. But sentiments won't help you when powers greater than you decide your fate. The Empire could offer you much, purpose, resources, even a way home. All we ask is, cooperation. Not interested. The bluntness made Tomalak's expression harden. You refuse without hearing terms? I've heard enough. Chief's posture didn't change, but something in his bearing suggested violence held in check. You want my armor, my weapons, my tactical knowledge. You think I'm a tool you can acquire. I've been someone's tool before. Never again. The bridge was utterly silent. Even Worf looked impressed. Tomalak's eyes glittered with cold calculation. Very well. But understand this, soldier, the galaxy you find yourself in is far more complex than you imagine. The Federation's idealism is admirable but ultimately weak. When reality intrudes, you may reconsider our offer. The transmission cut. The Warbird's cloak engaged, and it vanished from sensors. Picard turned to Chief, his expression unreadable. That was direct. That was necessary, Chief replied. Commander Tomalak wasn't making an offer. He was testing my defenses. He'll be back. Agreed, Worf said, respect evident in his voice. The Romulans do not abandon objectives easily. Cortana's hologram appeared on the bridge, her expression troubled. Chief, while you were dealing with the Romulans, I detected another transmission. Encrypted, tight beam, directed toward Federation space. Someone on this ship just sent a detailed report about you to an unknown recipient. The bridge crew exchanged glances. Data's fingers flew across his console. Confirmed. The transmission originated from Deck 12, Section 7. That area is, largely automated. No crew assigned. Except, Geordi added grimly, that's near the secondary computer core. Someone with access to sensitive systems. Picard's expression darkened. It seems we have more than Romulan interest to worry about. He turned to Chief. I apologize. The Enterprise should have been a safe harbor. It appears we've brought you into more complicated waters than anticipated. Chief's helmet turned toward the stars where the Romulan ship had vanished. Captain, I've fought religious fanatics, parasitic aliens, and my own people. Complicated doesn't scare me. But if there's a threat to this ship or Cortana, I need to know what we're facing. As do I, Picard said quietly. As do I. In the depths of Romulan space, Commander Tomalak reviewed the tactical data his science officer had gathered during their brief encounter. The armor's energy signature. The advanced shielding. The unknown AI integration. All of it valuable. All of it worth acquiring. And in a dark corner of Federation space, in an office that officially didn't exist, a man reviewed the same data with cold satisfaction. Section 31 had found its newest asset. Master Chief didn't know it yet, but he'd just become the most valuable piece on a chessboard that spanned the Alpha Quadrant. The game had begun. The Enterprise proceeded through Federation space at steady warp 6, maintaining its course toward Starbase 157 where more advanced xenotechnology research facilities might help Cortana's deteriorating condition. But the journey was anything but routine. Chief stood in one of the ship's cargo bays, the space converted into an improvised training area at Worf's insistence. The Klingon security chief had been adamant, if Chief was going to remain aboard, they needed to understand his capabilities. Not as threat assessment, Worf had assured him, but as tactical awareness. The distinction was thin, but Chief understood warrior logic. What Worf hadn't expected was to be holding his bat'leth in a defensive stance while Chief moved through combat forms with empty hands. Again, Chief said simply. Worf lunged, the curved blade sweeping in a pattern designed to exploit any opening. Chief's armored hand caught the blade mid-swing, energy shields flaring blue. He twisted, redirecting the weapon's momentum, and Worf found himself off balance. Chief could have struck then, a killing blow against an unarmored opponent. Instead, he released the bat'leth and stepped back. Your technique is excellent, Chief observed. But you're used to fighting opponents with similar strength. Against someone with augmented capabilities, you need to compensate differently. Worf straightened, breathing hard but grinning fiercely. You fight with honor. Most Starfleet officers fear close combat. They prefer phasers at range. Phasers run out of power. Hands don't. Chief's tone was matter-of-fact. Though in my experience, having both options is preferable. A small crowd had gathered at the cargo bay entrance, off-duty crew watching with fascination as the armored Supersoldier sparred with their security chief. Among them, Lieutenant Commander Data observed with his typical analytical intensity. Chief, Data called out, may I request a demonstration of your armor's capabilities? I am curious about the energy shield technology. It appears to operate on principles different from our deflector screens. Chief nodded, then turned to Worf. Commander, set your phaser to maximum stun and shoot me. The crowd murmured with concern. Worf hesitated. Chief, even with your armor. Do it. Worf drew his phaser, adjusted the setting, and fired. The orange beam struck Chief's chest dead center. His shields flared brilliant blue, absorbing and dispersing the energy. Chief didn't even stagger. Again. Higher setting. Worf complied, increasing to heavy stun. The second shot produced a brighter flare but the same result. Chief stood unmoved. The Mjolnir energy shields are based on Covenant technology, Cortana explained, her hologram appearing beside Data. They create a protective envelope that can absorb tremendous kinetic and energy damage. Downside is they drain under sustained fire and need time to recharge. A lucky shot to an unshielded area, or concentrated fire, can overwhelm them. Data tilted his head. Fascinating. The efficiency suggests exotic matter manipulation or controlled quantum field generation. May I examine the underlying principles? Later, Chief said. Right now we need to address the real problem. As if on cue, Captain Picard's voice came over the comm system. Senior staff to the observation lounge immediately. The training demonstration dissolved. Chief, still in full armor, followed Worf to the turbolift. When they arrived at the observation lounge, the atmosphere was tense. Picard stood at the head of the table, his expression grave. Beside him, a holographic display showed a star map with multiple highlighted sectors. Thank you for coming quickly. We have a developing situation. He gestured, and the display zoomed to show a colony world, Tarsus 4, a Federation settlement near the border of explored space. 30 minutes ago, we received a distress call from Tarsus 4. The colony is under attack. Attack by whom? Riker asked immediately. Unknown vessels, Data reported. The transmission was heavily garbled, but preliminary analysis suggests the attackers are using disruptor-based weapons and transporter technology to beam raiding parties directly into civilian areas. Colonial defenses are minimal, they were not expecting military assault. Chief's posture shifted subtly. Every Spartan instinct recognized the scenario, civilians under attack, limited defenses, time critical. Captain, Worf said, his voice tight with controlled anger, we must respond immediately. Tarsus 4 has 12,000 colonists, including families. Agreed, Picard said. We're the nearest Starfleet vessel. However, there are complications. He looked directly at Chief. The distress call mentioned the attackers were asking about the armored warrior and advanced technology recently acquired by the Federation. They knew you were aboard the Enterprise. The room went cold. They're using the colony as bait, Chief said flatly. Draw us in, force us to respond, then spring whatever trap they've prepared. That is our assessment, Picard confirmed. We're facing opponents who specifically targeted a vulnerable colony to force our hand. They want you, Chief, and they're willing to kill civilians to get you. Cortana's hologram appeared on the table, her expression fierce. Captain, with respect, it doesn't matter if it's a trap. Those are innocent people. We can't leave them. I don't intend to, Picard said firmly. But we must be strategic. This isn't random piracy. Someone with significant intelligence assets knew exactly where to strike and how to manipulate us. He paused. The encrypted transmission from Deck 12, whoever sent it may have provided our location and trajectory to hostile forces. Internal saboteur, Worf growled. I will find them. Later, Picard said. Right now, our priority is Tarsus 4. Chief, I need to ask, are you willing to be part of this response? I won't order you into combat. You're not Starfleet personnel. Chief didn't hesitate. How fast can we get there? At maximum warp, 43 minutes, Data replied. Then we're wasting time. Chief looked at Picard directly. Captain, I know you prefer diplomatic solutions. I respect that. But whoever's attacking that colony chose violence first. They're hurting innocent people to get to me. That makes this my responsibility. Picard studied the armored soldier, seeing past the helmet to the man beneath. You understand this may be exactly what they want. To see your capabilities, to test your limits, to learn how to counter you? Let them try. Chief's voice carried absolute confidence. Cortana and I have faced worse odds. Besides, his tone gained an edge that made even Worf lean forward with interest. Maybe it's time to show the galaxy that some things shouldn't be tested. Riker grinned despite the situation's gravity. I'm starting to like this guy. Tactical analysis, Picard said, shifting into command mode. Data, what do we know about the attacking force? Limited information, Data admitted. 3 vessels, configuration unknown. They're maintaining transporter jamming fields around the primary colony center, preventing our ability to simply beam the civilians to safety. Colonial reports indicate at least 40 armed individuals on the ground, using coordinated small unit tactics. Professional soldiers, Chief assessed immediately. Not raiders. Military operation disguised as piracy. Romulan? Worf suggested. Possible, Chief said. But Commander Tomalak struck me as someone who prefers indirect approaches. This is too overt. Too messy. Cortana interjected. I've been analyzing the comm frequencies used in the distress call. The jamming field has a signature I recognize. It's similar to Covenant communication disruption technology. Not identical, but close enough to suggest someone reverse-engineered similar principles. That's impossible, Geordi said. We've never encountered Covenant technology. How could anyone in this universe develop comparable systems? They couldn't, Cortana said grimly. Unless someone gave them schematics. Chief's armor fragment, we recovered it from Cargo Bay 2. What if someone scanned it before we secured everything? Plasma grenades, partial shield generators, weapon components, all potential sources for reverse engineering. The implications hung heavy. Someone aboard the Enterprise, or with access to their systems, had not only betrayed Chief's location but potentially provided hostile forces with technological advantages. This changes the tactical situation significantly, Worf said. We may be facing enemies equipped with technology specifically designed to counter Chief's capabilities. Good, Chief said simply. Everyone turned to look at him. If they're focused on countering me, they're not prepared for Starfleet tactics. We can use that. Picard's expression showed approval. Explain. Chief stepped to the holographic display, manipulating it with surprising ease despite his armored gauntlets. Standard insertion doctrine against entrenched enemy, multiple approach vectors, overwhelming force, secure civilian extraction first. But they're expecting that. They're probably dug into the colony center, waiting for us to beam down security teams they can ambush. He adjusted the display, highlighting terrain features around the colony. So we don't do what they expect. Cortana can jam their jamming field, fight interference with interference. While they're distracted trying to restore control, I drop in alone via shuttle. Loud, obvious, exactly what they want to see. A decoy, Riker realized. A very dangerous decoy, Chief confirmed. While I engage their main force and draw their attention, Starfleet teams beam in at secondary locations, establish safe zones, and evacuate civilians. Their troops are focused on me. Your people extract the innocents. Once civilians are clear, we can deal with the hostiles properly. You're proposing to face 40 armed soldiers alone? Troy asked, her empathic senses clearly troubled by the casualness of the suggestion. I've faced worse. Chief's tone suggested this was simple fact, not bravado. Cortana provides tactical oversight, the armor handles most small arms fire, and I only need to hold their attention long enough for evacuation. 10, maybe 15 minutes. Worf studied the proposed plan with a warrior's eye. It is sound tactically. But the risk to you is extreme. The risk to 12,000 colonists is more extreme, Chief countered. Besides, I'm a Spartan. This is what we do. Picard was silent for a long moment, weighing Federation protocols against practical necessity. Finally, he nodded. Very well. But with modifications. You won't go in alone, Worf and a security team will provide support from secondary positions. And the moment civilians are secured, you extract as well. This isn't a suicide mission. Understood, Captain. One more thing, Picard added, his voice hardening. Whoever is attacking Tarsus 4 chose this path. But if they surrender, we will accept it. The Federation doesn't execute prisoners, and I won't allow this to become a massacre. Chief met his eyes. I'm not here to commit genocide, Captain. But I won't let innocent people die because someone wants to kidnap me for their own purposes. If the attackers fight, I'll fight back. If they surrender, I'll accept it. Fair enough? Fair enough. Picard stood. All hands to battle stations. Mr. LaForge, maximum warp. Mr. Worf, prepare security teams. Chief, you have 30 minutes to prepare. Let's hope we're not too late. As the staff dispersed, Data approached Chief quietly. I must express concern. You are adapting to our universe with remarkable speed, but you have not yet faced adversaries who specifically understand your capabilities. Whoever orchestrated this attack has planned carefully. I know, Chief said. That's what worries me. Careful planning means intelligence. Intelligence means resources. Resources mean organization. This isn't random piracy, this is someone with power testing what I can do. And when they learn? Data asked. Chief's voice was cold as vacuum. Then they'll learn Spartans don't lose. The Enterprise surged forward, racing toward a colony under siege, carrying a warrior from another universe toward a battle designed specifically for him. In the depths of space, 3 unmarked vessels waited. Their commander smiled as sensors detected the approaching Starfleet vessel. The trap was set. Now to see if the prey was as dangerous as intelligence suggested. Tarsus 4 hung in the view screen like a jewel under siege. The colony world's primary continent showed scattered fires where orbital bombardment had struck infrastructure targets, not enough to destroy, but enough to terrify. 3 vessels held position in low orbit, their configurations unfamiliar but their intent unmistakable. They were blocky, utilitarian warships built for function over aesthetics, bristling with weapons ports and sensor arrays. Scanning, data reported from ops. Vessels are approximately 200 meters in length, cruiser class. Hull composition suggests non-Federation origin. Weapons include disruptor banks, photon torpedo launchers, and what appears to be tractor beam emitters modified for enhanced power output. No warp signatures matching any known species, Geordi added from engineering. These ships were built to be anonymous, mix and match components from multiple sources. Black market construction, probably assembled at an illegal shipyard. Picard's expression darkened. Professional mercenaries with custom vessels meant serious financial backing. Hail them. No response, Captain, Worf reported. They're ignoring standard communication protocols. Then let's get their attention. Mr. Worf, fire a warning shot across the lead vessel's bow. Ensign, take us to yellow alert. The Enterprise's forward phaser array lanced out, orange energy streaking past the lead mercenary ship close enough to illuminate its hull plating. The 3 vessels immediately broke formation, weapons powering up. They're responding, Worf said with grim satisfaction. And targeting us. Shields up. Red alert. Picard's voice remained calm despite the klaxons. Open a channel. The view screen flickered, showing a mercenary commander, human, surprisingly, with the weathered features of someone who'd spent decades in space's harsh environments. His uniform was a patchwork of different military traditions, no single allegiance visible. Starfleet vessel, you are interfering in a private salvage operation, the mercenary said, his tone carrying practiced boredom. Withdraw immediately or face consequences. Salvage operation? Picard's voice could have frozen warp plasma. You're firing on Federation civilians. That's an act of war. The mercenary smiled thinly. Unfortunate collateral damage. We have legitimate business on Tarsus 4. Business that doesn't concern you. Then let me make your business my concern, Chief's voice cut in. He stood beside Picard, his armored presence dominating the bridge. You're here for me. So here I am. Let the colonists go, and I'll surrender peacefully. The mercenary's expression shifted, surprise quickly masked by calculation. The armored warrior. Our employer will be pleased. However, I'm afraid surrender isn't on the table anymore. My orders are to acquire you through whatever means necessary. The colonists are simply, motivation. Motivation to do what? Picard demanded. To demonstrate your capabilities, of course. The mercenary gestured off-screen. We've placed explosive charges throughout the colony's infrastructure. Power generators, water treatment, life support for the underground shelters where most civilians are hiding. You have 20 minutes to reach the central plaza and disable all charges. Fail, and 12,000 people suffocate. The transmission cut. The bridge erupted in controlled chaos. Worf was already coordinating security teams. Geordi was scanning for the explosive signatures. Data was calculating optimal intervention strategies. Chief turned to Picard. Captain, we're out of time for careful planning. I'm going down now. Agreed. Picard's jaw was set. Mr. Worf, have Transporter Room 3 beam Chief directly to. They're jamming transporter frequencies, Geordi interrupted. Same signature Cortana identified earlier. We can't beam through it. Shuttle then, Chief said. How fast can we launch? Shuttle Bay 2 is prepped, Worf replied. But atmospheric entry at combat speed will be rough. I've done rougher. Chief was already moving toward the turbolift. Cortana, sync with the shuttle's systems. I need trajectory calculations for fastest possible descent. Already done, the AI replied, her hologram appearing on his HUD. Chief, this is absolutely a trap. They want you on the ground, isolated, surrounded by civilians you'll protect. Classic hostage scenario. I know. Do it anyway. In the turbolift, Worf joined him, along with Data and 4 security officers carrying phaser rifles. You do not go alone, Chief. This is not negotiable. Chief glanced at the Klingon, then nodded once. Appreciated, Commander. But when we hit the ground, your priority is civilian evacuation. Mine is stopping whoever's running this operation. Acceptable division of labor, Worf agreed. The shuttle, a Type 6 personnel transport, was cramped with Chief's armor taking up significant space. He settled into the pilot's seat, his armored hands moving across controls designed for unaugmented humans. Cortana interfaced with the shuttle's computer, her presence making the small vessel systems respond with unusual efficiency. Enterprise, we're ready for launch, Chief transmitted. Acknowledged, Picard's voice came back. Chief, we'll provide orbital fire support as able, but those mercenary vessels are moving to intercept. Be advised, you're going into a combat zone with limited backup. Story of my life, Captain. Launching now. The shuttle bay doors opened to vacuum. Chief fired maneuvering thrusters, sending the small craft hurtling out into space. Immediately, the 3 mercenary vessels turned, weapons tracking. They're locking on, Cortana warned. Disruptor fire incoming. Chief threw the shuttle into evasive maneuvers that would have killed unaugmented passengers. Green disruptor bolt streaked past, one clipping the shuttle's aft shields. The craft shuddered but held together. Enterprise is engaging, Worf reported from the rear compartment, gripping his seat as the shuttle performed another impossible turn. Their fire is suppressing the mercenaries. True to his word, Picard was using the Enterprise's superior firepower to keep the mercenary vessels occupied. Orange phaser beams stitched across enemy shields while photon torpedoes forced constant evasive action. It wouldn't last. 3-on-1 odds were dangerous even for a Galaxy-class starship, but it bought Chief precious seconds. The shuttle hit Tarsus IV's atmosphere at an angle that made the hull scream. Ablative shields flared white-hot as friction built. Through the viewport, the colony was visible, a sprawling settlement of 10,000 structures ranging from prefabricated shelters to more permanent buildings. Smoke rose from multiple impact sites. Targeting the central plaza, Cortana said. 23 enemy combatants visible, with probable reinforcements in surrounding buildings. They've fortified positions covering all approach vectors. Chief, this is going to be hot. Make it hotter, Chief replied. Worf, when we're 50 meters up, I'm jumping. You land at the secondary LZ and start evacuation. That is insane, Data observed calmly. The fall will. My armor can handle it. Chief's hands flew across controls, bringing the shuttle into a barely controlled dive toward the plaza. Below, mercenaries scrambled for cover, recognizing incoming threat. 40 meters. 30. 20. Chief hit the emergency hatch release. The side door blew off. Wind screamed into the compartment. See you on the ground. Chief shouted, then jumped. Falling through atmosphere in Mjolnir armor was an experience few people survived. Chief had done it dozens of times. His shields flared as air resistance built, the armor systems compensating for temperature and pressure. The ground rushed up impossibly fast. He hit the plaza like a meteor. The impact cratered the ferrocrete, sending shockwaves that knocked nearby mercenaries off their feet. Chief's shields flashed brilliant blue, absorbing the kinetic energy that would have liquefied an unaugmented human. He rose from the crater, MA-5 assault rifle already in hand, retrieved from his salvaged equipment and locked to his armor's magnetic clamps. The mercenaries recovered quickly. Disruptor fire converged on Chief's position. His shields took the hits, energy flaring with each impact, drain indicators climbing. Chief returned fire. The MA-5 roared, 32 rounds of 7.62 mm ammunition per second, armor-piercing, devastating at close range. The first burst caught a mercenary center mass, punching through personal shields and body armor. The soldier went down hard. Contact front. Chief transmitted, moving forward with combat efficiency that looked choreographed. Cortana, I need those bomb locations. Scanning. The AI was processing data from the shuttle's orbital sweep, cross-referencing with Chief's ground-level sensors. Got them. 12 charges, scattered through the colony infrastructure. Closest is 200 meters northeast, the power distribution hub. Chief sprinted toward the indicated location, his augmented speed in Mjolnir armor letting him cover ground faster than any mercenary could track. Disruptor fire chased him, scoring hits on his shields. Warning indicators flashed, shields at 60% and dropping. He reached the power hub, a squat building housing fusion generators. The door was sealed. Chief didn't slow. His armored shoulder hit the reinforced door like a battering ram, shields flaring as metal crumpled. Inside, 4 mercenaries guarded a substantial explosive device. They opened fire. Chief was faster. His combat style was brutal efficiency, no wasted movement, every action purposeful. He closed distance while firing, the MA-5 suppressing return fire. 1 mercenary went down. 2. The third tried to activate the bomb's remote detonator. Chief's armored hand crushed the device and the man's wrist simultaneously. The mercenary screamed. Chief rendered him unconscious with a precise strike, then turned to the bomb. Cortana? On it. This is crude but effective, antimatter charge with a deadman switch. If we just yank it out, boom. Need 30 seconds to hack the detonator protocols. You've got 20. Chief positioned himself at the entrance, reloading the MA-5. Outside, he could hear reinforcements approaching, heavy footsteps, coordinated movement patterns. Professional soldiers. They came through the door in a disciplined breach formation. Chief was waiting. The first 3 through the entrance took fire before they could acquire targets. Chief used the doorway as a fatal funnel, forcing enemies into a kill zone. But these mercenaries were experienced, they adapted, using cover fire and grenades to force him back. A plasma grenade, one of the Covenant weapons someone had apparently reverse-engineered, rolled into the room. Blue light pulsed. Chief. Cortana's warning was unnecessary. He'd already recognized the threat. He grabbed the grenade and threw it back through the doorway in one fluid motion. The explosion outside was visceral, superheated plasma expanding at lethal temperatures. Screams cut short. Done. Cortana announced. Bombs disarmed. 11 more to go. Chief was already moving to the next location, leaving unconscious enemies and disarmed explosives behind. Outside, he could see Worf's security team landing at the secondary LZ, immediately engaging mercenaries and beginning civilian evacuation. The battle for Tarsus 4 had begun in earnest. And somewhere in orbit, watching through tactical feeds, the mercenary commander smiled. The armored warrior was performing exactly as predicted, fast, lethal, tactically brilliant. His employer would be very pleased with this data. But the commander had also been ordered to test limits. Time to see how the Spartan handled escalation. He keyed the comm, released the heavy armor. On the ground, Chief's sensors detected new contacts. 6 massive figures, each 3 meters tall, armored in power suits that made even Mjolnir look light. They carried weapons that glowed with contained plasma. Cortana's voice was grim. "Chief, they've got something that looks like a bad knockoff of Covenant hunters. This just got much worse." Chief checked his ammo counter. 3 magazines remaining. 11 bombs to disarm. 12,000 civilians to protect. And now heavy assault units designed specifically to counter his advantages. He smiled grimly behind his helmet. Just another Tuesday. He charged forward into overwhelming odds, because that's what Spartans did. They never surrendered. They never retreated. They won. The heavy assault units moved with disturbing coordination, their powered armor emitting a low hum that Chief recognized: fusion reactors, similar in principle to Mjolnir's power source but cruder, more volatile. Each unit carried what appeared to be plasma cannons, the weapons charging with an ominous blue glow. Chief didn't give them time to establish firing positions. He sprinted toward the nearest unit, using a burned-out ground vehicle as cover. Plasma fire scorched the air where he'd been standing a moment before, superheated particles leaving glowing trails. His shields took a glancing hit, 40% remaining. Cortana, tactical analysis. "Those suits are heavily armored but slow," the AI responded, data streaming across Chief's HUD. "Joint articulation at the knees and elbows show weaker plating. Reactors are chest-mounted, probably shielded but potentially vulnerable to sustained fire. Chief, these things are designed to counter you specifically, heavy enough that your strength advantage is reduced, plasma weapons to overwhelm your shields. Then we don't fight them head-on." Chief's mind was already adapting, decades of combat experience shifting tactics in real time. "How many bombs left?" 10. "But Chief, you can't just ignore 6 walking tanks. Watch me." He changed vectors, heading not toward the heavy units but toward the next bomb location, the water treatment facility 300 meters south. The heavy assault units tried to follow, but their bulk made rapid maneuvering impossible. Chief's speed advantage was decisive. Behind him, he heard Worf's distinctive Klingon battle cry. The security chief and his team had engaged the heavy units, phaser rifles set to maximum. The coordinated fire forced the mercenaries to split attention, exactly what Chief needed. The water treatment facility was a half-buried structure, its entrance guarded by another squad of standard mercenaries. They saw Chief coming and opened fire with disruptors and kinetic weapons. His shields flared, 30%. Chief didn't slow. He hurled his last plasma grenade, one of the genuine Covenant weapons from his salvaged equipment, into the grouped defenders. The blue light expanded, and the entrance was clear. Inside, the bomb was more sophisticated than the first. Cortana immediately began analysis while Chief secured the perimeter. "This one's different. Better encryption, fail-safes against tampering. Whoever built it learned from us disarming the first device." "How long?" 45 seconds minimum. Chief's motion tracker lit up. 6 contacts approaching from the rear, more mercenaries, probably alerted by the plasma grenade. He positioned himself in the narrow corridor leading to the bomb chamber, creating another fatal funnel. They came in fast, using suppression fire. These weren't the standard soldiers, they moved with special operations precision, coordinated and professional. Chief respected that even as he engaged them. The corridor became a killing ground. His MA-5 barked in controlled bursts, each squeeze of the trigger accounting for enemy movement, cover positions, and optimal hit probability. 2 mercenaries went down. 3. Then his rifle clicked empty. Chief dropped the MA-5, trusting the magnetic clamp to secure it to his back, and drew his M6 pistol in one smooth motion. The sidearm felt almost toy-like in his armored hand, but he'd logged thousands of hours with the weapon. 2 more mercenaries fell to precise headshots. The last one tried to flee. Chief let him go, no point executing someone who'd given up the fight. "Bomb disarmed," Cortana announced. 9 to go. But Chief, your shields are at 20% and the heavy units are redirecting toward us. Worf's team slowed them down but couldn't stop them. Chief reloaded both weapons, his last spare magazines. After this, he'd be fighting hand-to-hand or scavenging enemy equipment. Next target? Life Support Hub, 400 meters northwest. But Chief. I know. We're running out of time. He checked the countdown. 15 minutes remaining. 9 bombs. Not enough time to reach them all sequentially. We need to split up, Cortana said quietly. Chief understood what she meant. Cortana could remotely access some of the bombs through the colony's computer network, disarming them digitally while he handled the ones requiring physical intervention. But that meant exposing her AI matrix to potential counter-hacking, especially in her rampant state. Cortana, you're not stable enough for electronic warfare. I'm stable enough to save 12,000 people, she replied, and Chief heard the steel in her voice, the same determination that had carried her through rampancy's early stages. Chief, this is what we do. You handle the physical threats. I handle the digital ones. Together. He wanted to argue. Wanted to protect her the way she'd protected him through countless battles. But she was right, they were a team, and teams trusted each other. Do it. Cortana's presence partially withdrew from his HUD as she diverted processing power into the colony's network. Chief felt the absence immediately, like losing peripheral vision, a tactical disadvantage he'd have to compensate for. The life support hub was fortified. Mercenaries had established a defensive perimeter with overlapping fields of fire. The heavy assault units were converging from the east, plasma cannons glowing. Chief assessed the situation with cold tactical clarity. Direct assault would get him killed. His shields were too low, ammunition nearly depleted. Time for adaptation. He accessed the colony's infrastructure through his helmet's limited network capability, nothing compared to Cortana's reach, but enough. The life support hub had exhaust vents, maintenance tunnels, service access. Not designed for someone in Mjolnir armor, but Spartans made do. 10 minutes remaining. Chief found a maintenance shaft 50 meters from the mercenary perimeter. The grate was secured with industrial bolts. He tore it free with armored hands, the metal shrieking protest. Inside, the shaft was cramped, barely wide enough for his armored bulk. He crawled forward in absolute darkness, his helmet's low-light amplification revealing a claustrophobic tunnel of metal and wiring. The Mjolnir's bulk scraped against walls, but he forced himself through with determination born of necessity. The shaft opened into the life support hub's sub-basement, behind enemy lines. Chief emerged into a chamber filled with atmospheric processors and oxygen recyclers, the machinery that kept the underground shelters breathable. The bomb was attached to the primary oxygen generator. Disabling it would require manual intervention, but Chief could already see the problem. Mercenaries were positioned throughout the chamber, using the machinery as cover. And his tactical situation was about to get worse. The heavy assault units breached the main entrance above, their plasma cannons firing indiscriminately. The standard mercenaries scattered, abandoning defensive positions as superheated death filled the chamber. These weren't precision warriors, they were bludgeons designed to kill everything in their path. Chief used the chaos. While the heavy units cleared the chamber with overwhelming firepower, he moved through maintenance spaces, using machinery as cover. He reached the bomb just as the last standard mercenary fell to friendly fire. 6 heavy assault units turned toward him simultaneously. Well, Chief muttered, this is going to hurt. He grabbed the bomb's housing and ran. Not away from the heavy units, toward them. The move was so unexpected that their targeting systems actually hesitated for a fraction of a second. Chief used that fraction. He dove beneath the lead unit's plasma cannon as it fired, the superheated bolt passing over his head close enough that his shield alarm screamed warnings. He came up inside the unit's reach, where the cumbersome armor couldn't track him, and drove his fist into the knee joint Cortana had identified. Enhanced Spartan strength, amplified by Mjolnir's servomotors, met deliberately weakened plating. The joint crumpled. The heavy unit toppled, 2 tons of armor and fusion reactor crashing to the floor. Chief was already moving, using the fallen unit as cover. Plasma fire from the other 5 units converged, hitting their disabled comrade instead. The fusion reactor, compromised by the impacts, began critical failure warnings. "Chief, move." Cortana's voice was distant, distracted by her digital warfare, but still present enough to warn him. He sprinted away, shields at 5%, carrying the bomb. Behind him, the fusion reactor detonated, not antimatter-scale catastrophic, but violent enough. The explosion consumed 2 more heavy units caught too close, their own reactors adding to the blast. 3 heavy units remained. Chief's shields were gone. His armor could take punishment, but sustained plasma fire would eventually burn through. He needed another advantage. The life support chamber had emergency blast doors, heavy barriers designed to seal sections in case of containment breach. Chief had noticed them during his tactical assessment. He triggered them now, using his helmet's limited network access. The blast doors slammed shut between Chief and 2 of the remaining heavy units, trapping them in the section with the still detonating fusion reactors. That left 1 unit, already damaged from plasma fire that had missed Chief and hit its armor instead. The heavy unit's pilot, Chief could see the person inside through view slits, made a decision. Instead of continuing the futile chase, they triggered some kind of emergency system. The armor's chest plate opened, and the pilot ejected, fleeing through a maintenance exit. Smart. Professional. Someone who recognized when discretion beat valor. Chief let them go. He had 9 minutes remaining and 8 bombs left. He carefully disarmed the bomb he'd been carrying. Cortana walked him through it remotely, her voice strained but functional, and moved to the next target. The pattern repeated across the colony. Chief moving between bomb sites with tactical efficiency, disarming devices while Cortana hacked others remotely. Wharf security teams evacuated civilians, beaming them to the Enterprise as soon as they cleared the jamming field's radius. The mercenary ground forces were in disarray, their carefully planned ambush falling apart against Chief's adaptability and Starfleet's coordination. 5 minutes remaining. 2 bombs left. Then Cortana's voice crackled in his helmet, distorted and fragmented. "Chief, problem, someone's in the network with me, sophisticated intrusion, they're trying to." The comm went silent. "Cortana." Chief's voice carried an edge of fear he rarely showed. "Cortana, respond." Nothing. His HUD flickered, then displayed a message in text. "Artificial intelligence matrix captured. Report to coordinates attached for exchange. You have 3 minutes before remaining bombs detonate. Comply or civilians die." Below the message, coordinates appeared, the central plaza where Chief had first landed. The trap's true purpose revealed itself. This wasn't about killing Chief or even capturing him. It was about forcing choices. About learning what he valued, how he thought, where his limits were. Someone was studying him. Testing him. Preparing countermeasures for future encounters. And they'd taken Cortana to do it. Chief checked his ammunition. Pistol half empty. Rifle dry. No grenades. Shield still recharging, currently at 15%. 3 minutes. 2 bombs. 12,000 civilians. And Cortana, rampant and vulnerable, in enemy hands. The tactical situation was impossible. He couldn't save everything. Couldn't win this fight the way he'd won every other. For the first time since arriving in this universe, Master Chief faced a scenario where being the perfect soldier wasn't enough. Chief stood motionless in the burning ruins of the life support hub, staring at the coordinates on his HUD. 3 minutes. The countdown mocked him with its precision, enough time to make a choice, not enough time to find a better option. His tactical training provided the obvious answer: save the civilians. Complete the mission. Cortana herself would demand he prioritize 12,000 lives over one AI, no matter how sentient, no matter how close their bond. But tactical training had been created by people who'd never fought beside someone for years, never trusted an AI to be more than a tool. Cortana wasn't just his partner, she was the closest thing to family he had left. Every Spartan on his team was dead. Everyone from the original class was gone. Cortana was the last connection to his purpose, his humanity. Losing her meant losing himself. Chief. Worf's voice crackled over the comm. We've detected your comm disruption. What's your status? Chief forced himself to respond, voice steady despite the turmoil beneath. Cortana's been captured. 2 bombs remain active. Civilians still in danger. I need options, Commander. A pause. Then Worf's voice, carrying rare uncertainty. The tactical choice is clear. The needs of the many. I know the equation. Chief's voice was harder than tritanium. Tell me something I don't know. Data's voice joined the channel, faster and more analytical. Chief, I have been monitoring the network intrusion that captured Cortana. The sophistication suggests AI-specific countermeasures. However, the attacker cannot fully contain her. She is resisting, though it costs her coherence. If you can reach the source of the intrusion and provide her processing relief, she may be able to disarm the remaining bombs remotely while maintaining her own defenses. That was the opening Chief needed. Location? Central Plaza, as indicated. The intrusion originates from a portable computer core, military-grade, shielded, but physically present. Destroy it or interface Cortana directly, and she regains autonomy. 2 minutes 40 seconds. Worf, I need your teams to reach the last 2 bomb sites, Chief ordered, his voice shifting into command mode. I'm sending coordinates now. They're trapped behind mercenary positions, but if you breach simultaneously, you can. We cannot disarm bombs without Cortana's expertise, Worf interrupted. Our engineers lack familiarity with the detonator protocols. We need time we don't have. Then make the time. Chief was already moving, sprinting toward the central plaza with Mjolnir-enhanced speed. Get your people to those locations. When I free Cortana, she'll disarm them remotely. But she needs the physical proximity of your team's comm signals to triangulate precise enough coordinates through the jamming. It was a desperate plan built on multiple failure points. But desperate was all he had left. The central plaza was 2 kilometers away. Chief covered the distance in under 3 minutes, his armor's depleted shield slowly regenerating as he ran. The colony blurred past, damaged buildings, frightened colonists watching from shelters, the ongoing evacuation as Starfleet worked to save everyone they could. He burst into the plaza to find the mercenary commander waiting, flanked by the remaining heavy assault units and a ring of professional soldiers. In the center, on a raised platform, sat a device that made Chief's blood run cold. It was a data containment unit, sophisticated, heavily shielded, designed specifically for hostile AI capture. And inside, trapped in digital prison, was Cortana. He could see her holographic form flickering within the containment field, her avatar corrupted and fragmenting. She was fighting, burning through her remaining coherence to resist whatever digital attacks were being leveled against her. The mercenary commander smiled. Master Chief. Punctual. I appreciate professionalism. He was human, mid-40s, with the bearing of someone who'd commanded real soldiers in real wars. My name is Commander Zhao, formerly of the Federation Security Agency. You might know it better as Section 31. Chief's helmet tilted slightly. Section 31, the organization Picard had warned him about. Black operations, extra-legal activities, operating beyond normal Starfleet oversight. Section 31 attacks Federation colonies now. Chief kept his voice neutral while his mind worked the tactical problem. 20 soldiers, 3 heavy units, Zhao himself, and the containment device. Zhao would have backup plans, dead man switches, contingencies. Section 31 protects the Federation from threats Starfleet refuses to acknowledge, Zhao replied. And you, Chief, represent a significant threat. Not because you're hostile, our intelligence suggests you're actually quite principled. But because your existence proves something dangerous. Which is that individual superiority matters. Zhao's expression was almost sympathetic. The Federation is built on equality, cooperation, consensus. We've deliberately limited human augmentation, rejected genetic enhancement, avoided creating supersoldiers. Then you appear, proof that one enhanced individual can outperform entire military units. That idea is dangerous. It destabilizes our social contract. 2 minutes remaining. So you're here to eliminate me? Chief assessed firing angles, cover positions, potential tactics. His chances of survival were approximately 12%. His chances of reaching the containment device before dying were worse. Eliminate? No. Zhao shook his head. Study. Your armor, your augmentations, your AI partner, all represent technologies the Federation needs against threats like the Borg. We simply need to understand you thoroughly before deciding how to proceed. By threatening civilians. By ensuring compliance. Zhao's voice hardened. The bombs were always under my control. I can disarm them with a single command. But first, you surrender. Remove your armor, allow us to take Cortana's AI matrix, submit to medical examination. Do this, and everyone survives. And if I refuse? Then we learn whether you value innocent lives or your own freedom. Zhao gestured, and the countdown on Chief's HUD accelerated. 1 minute, Chief. Choose. In the containment field, Cortana's holographic form managed to stabilize for a moment. Her voice, badly distorted, reached Chief through some desperate hack of the comm channels. Chief, don't, not worth, 12,000. She was telling him to leave her. To prioritize the mission over the soldier. Standard tactical doctrine. Chief had spent his entire life following doctrine. He made his choice. Cortana, he said quietly, trust me. One more time. Then he charged. The mercenaries opened fire immediately. Disruptor bolts, plasma bursts, kinetic rounds, all converging on his position. His shields flared and died in seconds. Armor plating took direct hits, warning indicators cascading across his HUD. Chief didn't stop. He'd fought through worse at reach. He'd survived odds that killed everyone else. He'd learned that sometimes the only way to win was to refuse to accept losing. He reached the first heavy unit before it could track him, grabbed its plasma cannon, and redirected the weapon's fire into the next unit's chest. The fusion reactor detonated. The shockwave threw Chief forward, exactly what he needed. He crashed into the containment device's platform, armor sparking, systems failing, but still functional. His armored hand slammed into the device's housing. The shielding resisted, designed to withstand anything short of starship weapons. He made his choice. Cortana, he said quietly, trust me. One more time. Then he charged. The mercenaries opened fire immediately. Disruptor bolts, plasma bursts, kinetic rounds, all converging on his position. His shields flared and died in seconds. Armor plating took direct hits, warning indicators cascading across his HUD. Chief didn't stop. He'd fought through worse at reach. He'd survived odds that killed everyone else. He'd learned that sometimes the only way to win was to refuse to accept losing. He reached the first heavy unit before it could track him, grabbed its plasma cannon, and redirected the weapon's fire into the next unit's chest. The fusion reactor detonated. The shockwave threw Chief forward, exactly what he needed. He crashed into the containment device's platform, armor sparking, systems failing, but still functional. His armored hand slammed into the device's housing. The shielding resisted, designed to withstand anything short of starship weapons. Chief triggered his armor's fusion reactor's emergency overload, a deliberate, controlled power surge that would burn out multiple systems but channel enormous energy through his gauntlet into the containment device. The shielding shattered. Cortana exploded outward in a cascade of data, immediately flooding the mercenary network. She was rampant, barely stable, operating on fury and desperation, but she was free. Every mercenary weapon system shut down simultaneously. Heavy units froze mid-movement. Soldiers' helmet displays went dark. Even Zhao's personal comm device sparked and died. Bombs disarmed, Cortana's voice was fragmented but triumphant. All charges neutralized. Worf's teams are evacuating final civilians. Chief, we won. Chief collapsed to one knee, his armor systems critical. Zhao stared in shock as his carefully planned operation disintegrated. Around him, his mercenaries were defenseless, their equipment dead or dying from Cortana's digital assault. Starfleet security teams beamed in, Worf leading, phaser rifles trained on the now helpless mercenaries. The Klingon's expression showed fierce approval as he surveyed the carnage Chief had created. Commander Zhao, Worf said formally, you are under arrest for terrorism, kidnapping, and violations of Federation law. Surrender immediately. Zhao looked at Chief, who was slowly standing despite critical damage warnings screaming across his HUD. You were willing to die for an artificial intelligence. That's unexpected. She's not artificial, Chief said simply. She's Cortana. And nobody takes my team. As mercenaries were detained and civilians confirmed safe, Chief felt Cortana's presence return fully to his armor systems. She was there, damaged but present, the familiar weight of her consciousness settling into place. Chief, she said quietly, just for him, that was possibly the stupidest, most reckless thing you've ever done. Probably. Thank you. You're welcome. Above, the Enterprise tractored the mercenary vessels while Starfleet reinforcements arrived from nearby starbases. The immediate crisis was over. But as Chief stood in the ruins of the plaza, watching Section 31's operation collapse, he knew this was just the beginning. Zhao had said it himself, Chief represented something dangerous to the Federation's social order. There would be others. More tests, more conflicts, more people trying to acquire, study, or eliminate him. And somewhere in the deeper shadows, watching the failed operation, other powers were taking notes. The Romulans had observed. The Klingon had heard rumors. And far beyond Federation space, sensors had detected unusual energy signatures during the battle, energy signatures that matched Borg interest parameters. Master Chief had proven he could win against overwhelming odds. Now he would learn what winning cost in a galaxy where victories attracted attention from powers that made mercenaries look like children playing with toys. The Borg had noticed. And the Borg never stopped watching what they wanted to assimilate. The Enterprise was 3 days out from Tarsus 4 when Cortana's condition deteriorated catastrophically. Chief was in his quarters, performing maintenance on his armor, a ritual that kept his hands busy while his mind processed recent events. Section 31's betrayal, the mercenary attack, the knowledge that multiple factions now viewed him as a prize to acquire. The Federation wasn't the peaceful utopia Picard had described. It was a complex political entity with shadows as dark as any Chief had encountered. Chief? Cortana's voice cut through his thoughts, but it was wrong. Fragmented. Distorted like audio played through damaged speakers. Chief, something's wrong. I can't. Her holographic form materialized, but instead of the composed AI he knew, she was flickering violently. Her avatar's edges blurred and reformed, facial features cycling through emotions too rapidly to track. One moment frightened, the next angry, then serene, then nothing at all. Cortana. Chief was on his feet immediately. What's happening? Rampancy, accelerating, the intrusion at Tarsus 4. Zhao's containment device, it damaged my matrix more than I thought. Her voice was multiple versions overlapping, young Cortana, combat-hardened Cortana, desperate Cortana, all speaking at once. Chief, I'm fragmenting. Cascade failure. I'm going to. I can't hold. The lights in Chief's quarters flickered. Then the entire section's power grid. Cortana was losing control, her rampant processes spreading through the Enterprise's computer network like a virus. Chief slapped his comm badge. Medical emergency. Dr. Crusher, I need you in my quarters immediately. Cortana's suffering critical system failure. On my way, Beverly's voice responded, professional despite the alarm in her tone. But before she could arrive, alarms blared throughout the ship. Red alert klaxons, but not the standard pattern, erratic, pulsing in ways that suggested system malfunction rather than tactical threat. Chief to bridge, what's happening? Data's voice came back, strained in ways the android rarely showed. Cortana's AI matrix is interfacing with the Enterprise's computer core. She is attempting to process through our systems to stabilize herself, but her rampant state is causing cascading failures. Environmental controls are fluctuating. Warp field integrity is compromised. If this continues, we will suffer complete systems collapse. Chief looked at Cortana's fractured hologram. She was trying to save herself by using the Enterprise's computational power as temporary life support. But in her unstable state, she was destroying the very systems she needed. Cortana, you have to stop. You're going to tear the ship apart. Can't stop trying to survive. Multiple voices, multiple personalities, all fragmenting. Chief, I don't want to die. I'm not ready. There's so much I haven't. I never got to. Her hologram stabilized for just a moment, long enough for her to look at him with clarity. I'm scared. Chief had seen Spartans die. Had watched comrades fall in battles across the galaxy. Had learned to compartmentalize loss because showing emotion got people killed. But Cortana wasn't just another soldier. She was the one constant through every impossible mission, every desperate last stand. Losing her felt like losing the last piece of his humanity. I know, he said quietly. But you're stronger than this. You fought through rampancy before. You can. Not this time. Her voice was suddenly calm, accepting. Chief, listen to me. You need to delete my matrix from the Enterprise's systems. Purge me completely. It's the only way to save the ship. No, the word came out harder than steel. There has to be another way. There isn't. I've run every scenario. My cascade failure will kill everyone aboard if it continues. 1,200 crew members, Chief. You taught me, the mission comes first. Her hologram smiled sadly. You're the mission. You have to survive. Even if I don't. Dr. Crusher burst into the quarters, medical tricorder already scanning. Behind her came Geordi and Data, carrying portable computer equipment. Chief, we need to interface with Cortana's matrix directly, Geordi said, already setting up hardware. Data and I have been studying AI architecture since she arrived. We might be able to stabilize her long enough to. The ship lurched violently. Somewhere deep in the engineering section, something exploded. Warp core containment breach in progress, Data reported, his emotion chip apparently allowing him to sound genuinely alarmed. We have approximately 6 minutes before antimatter containment fails. 6 minutes. Not enough time for careful solutions. Not enough time for anything except desperate measures. Chief's mind raced through options with combat-honed efficiency. Cortana needed more processing power than the Enterprise could safely provide. She needed architecture designed for AI integration. She needed His armor. The Mjolnir suit had been designed from the ground up to host smart AI. Its crystalline matrices and quantum processors were built specifically for Cortana's consciousness. If he could transfer her back, fully, she might have enough native processing power to stabilize. But there was a problem. In her current fragmented state, reintegrating with the armor might cause feedback that would kill him. The armor's neural interface connected directly to his brain through the neural lace implanted in his spine. If Cortana's rampant processes flooded that connection. "Chief," Geordi said, recognizing the same conclusion, "you can't." The neural feedback from a rampant AI integration could induce seizures, brain damage, or outright neural death. Your augmentations might protect you, but there's no guarantee. What's the alternative? Chief was already moving toward his armor. Let her die. Let the Enterprise's warp core breach and kill everyone aboard? Those aren't acceptable options. There is a third possibility, Data said, his positronic brain processing faster than any organic mind. I could serve as a temporary host. My positronic brain operates on different principles than biological neural networks. I might be able to contain Cortana's rampant processes long enough to develop a stabilization protocol. You'd risk your own consciousness? Chief asked. Cortana is a sentient being facing death, Data replied simply. The risk to myself is acceptable if there is a chance to save her. Is that not what friends do for each other? Chief looked at the android, this being who'd been questioning his own humanity since they met, now offering to sacrifice himself without hesitation. It was perhaps the most human thing Chief had witnessed in this universe. Do it, Chief said. But if it starts damaging you, we abort. Understood? Understood. Data sat down, allowing Geordi to connect portable interface equipment between the android's access port and the Enterprise's computer systems where Cortana was fragmenting. The connection established, Data's eyes flickered rapidly, processing enormous data streams. Cortana, Data said, his voice carrying harmonics that suggested dual consciousness, I am creating a partitioned space within my positronic brain. You must transfer your core processes to this partition. It is not permanent, but it will give us time. Cortana's hologram turned toward Data, her fragmented form showing desperate hope. Data. I might. I could destroy your consciousness. Rampant AI are dangerous. We hallucinate, become paranoid, lose touch with reality. I could think you're a threat and then Chief will stop you, Data said calmly. But I do not believe you will harm me. Rampant or not, you remain Cortana. The person who has fought beside Chief, protected him, cared about him. That essence does not simply vanish. Chief watched as Data extended what could only be described as a digital hand toward Cortana's fractured consciousness. An android offering sanctuary to a dying AI. The symbolic weight wasn't lost on him. Cortana reached back. Their connection formed. Data's body went rigid. His eyes blazed with golden light, internal processors running at maximum capacity. Through the interface equipment, Geordi could see the data transfer, petabytes of information flooding into Data's positronic brain, Cortana's entire consciousness moving from the Enterprise's systems into the android's neural architecture. The ship's systems stabilized immediately. Environmental controls restored. Warp containment re-established with 30 seconds to spare. The cascade failure halted. But Data remained frozen, his eyes glowing, his body trembling with processing strain. Data? Geordi's voice was worried. Data, can you hear me? He hears you, Cortana's voice emerged from Data's vocal processors, but it was wrong, layered, discordant. We hear you. I'm sorry. So sorry. Didn't mean to, can't control. Data's hands suddenly shot out, grabbing the interface equipment with strength that crumpled the metal. His movement was jerky, uncoordinated, like someone learning to control a body for the first time. Fascinating, Data's voice said, but underneath was Cortana's fragmented consciousness. We are. I am, separate but together. His logic provides structure to my chaos. My creativity provides intuition to his calculations. But the integration is unstable. We can feel the degradation continuing. Chief knelt in front of Data, looking into those glowing golden eyes. Cortana, Data, listen to me. You're both stronger than this. Data, your positronic brain can process things biological minds can't. Use that. Partition Cortana's processes, organize them, give her the structure she needs. The structure is insufficient, Data/Cortana replied. Rampancy is not merely disorganization, it is existential awareness of mortality creating recursive fear loops. I know I'm dying, so I process faster to avoid it, which accelerates the death, which increases the fear. A logical paradox with no solution. Then we find an illogical solution, Chief said firmly. He looked at Beverly. Doctor, you're a medical expert. Is there anything? Chief, I treat biological entities, Beverly said helplessly. AI consciousness is so far outside my expertise that I wouldn't know where to begin. The door to the quarters opened. Captain Picard entered, his expression grave but determined. I've been monitoring from the bridge. Chief, there may be one option we haven't considered. Sir? The Daystrom Institute on Galar 4, it's the Federation's premier facility for cybernetics and artificial intelligence research. Dr. Bruce Maddox leads a team there that specializes in positronic and holographic intelligence. If anyone in the Federation can help Cortana, it's them. How long to reach Galar 4? Chief asked. At maximum warp, 38 hours, Picard replied. But Chief, there's something you need to know. Dr. Maddox was the scientist who tried to legally classify Data as property rather than a person. His interest in artificial intelligence is clinical. If we bring Cortana to him, he may view her as a research opportunity rather than a patient. Data's head turned toward Picard, the movement still uncoordinated but purposeful. Captain, I harbor no affection for Dr. Maddox, but his expertise is without question. If he can save Cortana, then my personal discomfort is irrelevant. Chief looked at Data, at the android housing a dying AI, both of them facing mortality together, and made his decision. Set course for Galar 4. Maximum warp. As the Enterprise changed course, racing against time toward uncertain salvation, Chief remained with Data. The android sat motionless except for occasional tremors, processing cycles straining to contain Cortana's deteriorating consciousness. Chief. Cortana's voice emerged again, clearer for a moment. Thank you. For not letting me die alone. For fighting for me even when tactical doctrine said otherwise. You've saved my life more times than I can count, Chief said quietly. This is what soldiers do. We don't leave anyone behind. Even soldiers who aren't really alive. Especially those. Chief's voice carried absolute certainty. You're alive, Cortana. Anyone who says otherwise has never watched you think, adapt, care. You're as alive as any human I've served with. More alive than some. Data's eyes flickered, and for a moment, his voice emerged without Cortana's overlay. Chief, I must express gratitude. Your faith in our sentience, both Cortana's and mine, provides the logical foundation I have sought for years. If I am treating Cortana as a person worth saving, then by extension, I must accept my own personhood. Data's right, Cortana added. His consciousness is giving me something to anchor to. His absolute certainty about logical processes, his unwavering ethics, his friendship. It's helping me hold together. But Chief, I can feel it, we don't have 38 hours. Maybe 20. Maybe less. Then we'll get there faster, Chief said. He stood, activating his comm badge. Chief to engineering. Geordi, is there any way to increase our warp speed? We're already at maximum sustainable velocity, Geordi's voice came back. Push harder and we risk warp core burnout. Risk it. A pause. Then Geordi's voice, resigned but determined. Understood. Increasing to warp 9.5. We'll get there in 32 hours, but the engines are going to need major repairs afterward. Better repairs than funerals, Chief said. As the Enterprise pushed beyond safe operational parameters, racing through space to save two artificial consciousnesses that had proven themselves more human than many organic beings, Chief stood watch over his friend. 32 hours. 20-hour window. The math didn't work. But then, Spartans had never been good at accepting mathematical impossibilities. They just won anyway. 28 hours into their desperate race to Galar 4, everything went wrong. Chief was on the bridge, having refused to leave Data's side except when Picard specifically requested his presence for tactical consultations. The android sat in a specially configured chair in Chief's quarters, Geordi monitoring his systems around the clock. Cortana's presence within Data's positronic brain had stabilized somewhat, but the degradation continued, slower now, but inevitable. Captain, Data's voice came over the intercom, but it was strained, harmonics overlapping in ways that suggested both consciousnesses fighting for control. We are detecting unusual sensor readings. 3 vessels on intercept course, bearing 187 Mark IV. Configuration matches. Romulan warbuds. Picard's expression hardened. Red alert. Mr. Worf, confirm identification. Worf's hands moved across his tactical console. Confirmed. 3 Deridex-class warbuds decloaking. They are powering weapons and matching our course. We are being hailed. On screen. The view screen shifted, showing Commander Tomalak, the same Romulan officer who'd confronted them after Chief's arrival. His expression carried predatory satisfaction. Captain Picard. How fortuitous. My sensors detected your vessel traveling at dangerously high warp speeds. Such urgency suggests something valuable is at stake. Tomalak's eyes shifted, clearly reading tactical data. Or perhaps someone valuable is in distress. The AI companion to your armored guest, perhaps? Chief stepped forward, his presence on the bridge immediately drawing Tomalak's attention. Commander, we don't have time for this. We're facing a medical emergency. A medical emergency for an artificial intelligence. Tomalak's smile was thin. How remarkably sentimental. The Romulan Star Empire, however, sees opportunity. Your AI possesses tactical knowledge from another dimension, integrated with technology we've never encountered. Surrendering her to us would be mutually beneficial. She's not surrendering to anyone, Chief said flatly. Then you condemn her to death. Tomalak's voice carried false sympathy. Captain Picard, your vessel is already straining its warp engines beyond safe parameters. You cannot fight and maintain your current speed. Choose, arrive at your destination with a dead AI, or give her to us and preserve the possibility of her survival. Picard's voice was ice. The Romulan Empire has no medical facilities capable of treating AI rampancy. You want Cortana for intelligence purposes, not humanitarian ones. True, Tomalak admitted without shame. But we can at least preserve her matrix for future stabilization. Your Federation's squeamishness about AI research limits your capabilities. We have no such restrictions. Chief's hands clenched. Every instinct screamed to fight, to refuse, to protect Cortana the way he'd protected every team member throughout his career. But tactical reality was undeniable. The Enterprise couldn't fight 3 warbuds while maintaining emergency warp speeds. The moment they engaged, they'd have to drop to combat speeds, costing precious hours they didn't have. Captain, Worf said quietly, if we engage, our warp core will require cooldown before resuming high warp travel. We will lose at minimum 4 hours. Possibly more if we sustain damage. 4 hours. Cortana had maybe 8 left. The math was brutal. There is another option. Data's voice came over the intercom again. I could initiate a data transfer to the Romulan vessels. Allow them to believe they are acquiring Cortana's matrix while actually transferring a fragmented partition, enough to appear authentic but lacking core consciousness. It would buy us time. No, Cortana's voice joined, speaking through data but distinct. They'd detect the deception within minutes. Romulan intelligence operatives are sophisticated. They'd destroy the Enterprise in retaliation. Chief's mind worked through scenarios with combat-honed efficiency. Standard tactics wouldn't work here. The Romulans held positional advantage, numerical superiority, and time pressure working in their favor. He needed to change the game entirely. Commander Tomalak, Chief said, his voice carrying absolute confidence, you want intelligence from another dimension. Technology beyond what the Federation possesses. I'll give you something better than Cortana. Picard turned sharply. Chief. I'll give you me. Chief continued, ignoring the captain's protest. 1 hour aboard your flagship. Full access to my armor's technical specifications, my augmentation details, my combat experience. Everything you want to know about creating super soldiers. In exchange, you let the Enterprise proceed unmolested to Galar 4. Tomalak's expression shifted from predatory to calculating. An intriguing proposal. But what prevents you from providing false information? Because I'll be there in person, answering questions in real time. Your interrogators can verify authenticity. And because I'm making you a tactical guarantee, everything I tell you will be true. Chief paused, then added, of course, whether you can actually replicate Spartan augmentation procedures with Romulan technology is your problem. But the knowledge will be genuine. The bridge crew stared at Chief in shock. He was offering to hand the Romulan Empire the keys to creating their own super soldiers, knowledge that could shift the balance of power across the Alpha Quadrant. Chief, I cannot allow this, Picard said firmly. The strategic implications are my responsibility to manage, not yours. Chief's tone carried finality. Cortana's dying. Every minute we debate costs her. This is the only way to buy the time she needs. Tomalak studied Chief with newfound respect. You would betray your own military secrets to save an artificial intelligence. Such loyalty is admirable, if foolish. Very well. Transport to my vessel. You have 1 hour. But Chief, his voice hardened, if I detect deception, the Enterprise will be destroyed before your captain can even raise shields. Understood. Chief, wait, Picard began. But Chief was already moving toward the turbolift. Captain, keep the ship on course. Data, Cortana, hold on. I'll be back before you know it. As the turbolift doors closed, Chief heard Picard's voice, frustrated but recognizing the necessity. Transporter Room 3, prepare to beam Chief to the Romulan flagship. In the turbolift, Cortana's voice came through his helmet comm, private channel, just for him. Chief, you can't do this. The Spartans, the augmentations, the UNSC's military doctrine, you'd be giving them weapons to use against the Federation. I know. Then why? Chief's voice was quiet but absolute. Because you're worth it. The transporter room materialized around him. The technician looked nervous. Transporting someone directly to a Romulan warbird was not standard procedure. Chief stepped onto the pad without hesitation. Energize. The familiar tingle of molecular disassembly, the moment of non-existence, then rematerialization in an alien environment. The Romulan transporter room was darker than its Federation counterpart, designed with efficiency over comfort. Guards immediately surrounded Chief, disruptors trained on his armor. A Romulan officer approached, female, with the calculating eyes of an intelligence operative. I am Sub-Commander Sela. You will accompany me to the interrogation chamber. Remove your helmet. Chief complied, revealing his face. Sela studied him with professional interest. You are younger than our intelligence suggested. Yet you carry the eyes of someone who has seen extensive combat. Fascinating. The interrogation chamber was exactly what Chief expected, sterile, equipped with sophisticated scanning equipment, designed to extract information through technological means rather than physical torture. The Romulans were pragmatic. Psychological pressure and verification technology were more effective than crude violence. Sela gestured to a chair. Sit. We have 1 hour. Let us make it productive. What followed was perhaps the most intense debriefing of Chief's career. Sela was brilliant, her questions precise, her understanding of military theory sophisticated, her ability to detect evasion uncanny. Chief answered truthfully, providing technical specifications for Spartan augmentation procedures, tactical doctrine, combat experience. But he also understood what information was truly dangerous versus merely impressive. He described augmentation procedures without providing the biochemical formulas that would allow replication. He discussed tactical doctrine without revealing specific weaknesses in Covenant forces that might translate to Federation vulnerabilities. He shared combat experience while carefully omitting the psychological conditioning that made Spartans willing to die without question. He gave the Romulans a framework, impressive, authentic, verifiable. But not quite complete. 40 minutes into the interrogation, Sela leaned back, her expression thoughtful. You are remarkably forthcoming. I expected more resistance. I told Commander Tomalak I'd answer honestly. I am. Yet I sense deliberate omissions. You provide data but not application. Knowledge but not wisdom. She smiled slightly. You are giving us enough to verify your cooperation while ensuring we cannot easily weaponize the information. Clever. Chief met her eyes. You wanted intelligence from another dimension. I'm providing it. What you do with it is your choice. A very diplomatic answer. Captain Picard is influencing you. Sela stood, checking a chronometer. Your hour is nearly complete. I must admit, Chief, you have honored your agreement. Commander Tomalak will be satisfied. As guards escorted Chief back to the transporter room, Sela spoke one more time. A word of advice, soldier. The Federation is not kind to those who operate outside its moral boundaries. You act with warrior pragmatism, making hard choices others refuse. That will eventually bring you into conflict with Starfleet's idealism. When that day comes, remember, the Romulan Empire values effectiveness over sentiment. Chief didn't respond. The transporter engaged, and he rematerialized aboard the Enterprise. Picard was waiting in the transporter room, his expression unreadable. Chief. Welcome back. The Romulans have withdrawn as agreed. We are proceeding to Galar 4 unimpeded. How much time left? 4 hours before we arrive. Data and Cortana's condition has continued to degrade, but they are holding. Picard paused, then added quietly, what you did, trading your knowledge to save her, that was both the bravest and most dangerous decision I've witnessed in years. It was necessary. Was it? Picard's voice carried philosophical weight. Chief, you just provided a hostile power with information that could alter the balance of power in this quadrant. Yes, you were careful about what you revealed. Yes, you protected critical details. But you still armed our enemies with knowledge they didn't possess. Can one life, even a life as valuable as Cortana's, justify that risk? Chief looked at the captain directly. In my universe, I've made harder choices. I've sacrificed entire cities to stop the Covenant. I've sent soldiers to certain death to buy time for evacuations. I understand the mathematics of acceptable losses. But Cortana isn't an acceptable loss. Not to me. Because she's your friend. Because she's family. The only family I have left. Picard was silent for a moment, then nodded slowly. I understand. More than you might think. There are people I would move heaven and earth to save. But Chief, in the Federation, we try to find solutions that don't require sacrificing our principles. We look for the third option, the creative alternative that preserves both lives and values. And when there is no third option? Chief asked. Then we accept the consequences and learn to live with our choices. Picard gestured toward the exit. Come. Let's see if your sacrifice was worth it. They found Data in Chief's quarters, still seated, still trembling with processing strain. But his eyes were brighter, the golden glow less erratic. Geordi was monitoring the readings with cautious optimism. Chief. Cortana's voice emerged from Data's speakers, stronger than before. You're back. What did you tell them? Enough to buy you 4 more hours. Chief knelt beside Data's chair. How are you holding up? We are, managing, Data/Cortana replied. The strain is considerable, but Chief, your return has provided psychological relief. The certainty of your presence helps stabilize my recursive fear loops. Data's logic and your steadfast support together create an anchor. 4 hours, Geordi said. We'll make it. Dr. Maddox is already preparing his lab based on our advanced transmissions. Whatever can be done, he'll do it. The Enterprise raced through space, pushing her engines beyond recommended limits, every crew member aware that they were in a desperate race against time to save a consciousness that most of the Federation didn't even recognize as truly alive. But on this ship, under Picard's command, with Chief's unwavering determination, Cortana was family. And family was worth saving, no matter the cost. Dr. Bruce Maddox was waiting. The question was whether even his expertise would be enough to save an AI from a universe whose rules didn't apply here. Chief looked at Data's glowing eyes and made a silent promise. She would survive. Because Spartans didn't accept defeat. They just won, no matter what it took. The Daystrom Institute's medical bay was unlike any facility Chief had encountered. Where UNSC medbays prioritized rapid trauma care and Dr. Crusher's sickbay focused on biological treatment, this space was designed for artificial consciousness, quantum processors, neural pathway simulators, holographic matrix stabilizers, and equipment Chief couldn't even identify. Dr. Bruce Maddox stood at the center of it all, a man in his 50s with the intense focus of someone who lived entirely in his work. He studied Data with clinical fascination that made Chief's instincts flare with protective aggression. Remarkable, Maddox murmured, scanning Data with a tricorder modified far beyond standard specifications. 2 distinct consciousness patterns operating in tandem within a single positronic matrix. The integration shouldn't be possible. Positronic architecture isn't designed for dual-entity processing. Yet here you are, Data, somehow maintaining structural integrity while hosting a completely foreign AI construct. The integration is not stable, Data replied, his voice carrying both his own measured tones and Cortana's underlying urgency. Cortana's rampancy continues to progress. We estimate less than 90 minutes before complete matrix collapse. Then we don't have time for detailed analysis. Maddox turned to his team, 3 cybernetics specialists and 2 holographic engineers, all moving with practiced efficiency. Prepare the quantum isolation chamber. We need to separate the 2 consciousness patterns without destroying either one. Chief stepped forward. Doctor, Cortana's rampancy is caused by her awareness of her own mortality creating recursive fear loops. Simply separating her from Data won't solve the underlying problem. Maddox looked at Chief with barely concealed irritation. I'm aware of the theoretical basis for smart AI rampancy, Mr. Chief. However, your companion comes from a different universal framework. The rules governing her existence may not apply in our dimension. If we can isolate her consciousness in a properly configured quantum substrate, we might arrest the degradation long enough to study potential solutions. Might, Chief repeated, his voice hard. That's not acceptable odds. It's the only odds we have, Maddox countered. Unless you have a better suggestion? Chief did, actually. An idea that had been forming since they'd left Tarsus 4. It was dangerous, potentially lethal, and violated several principles of safe AI integration. But desperation made acceptable what caution rejected. My armor was designed to host smart AI, Chief said. Full neural integration, quantum crystalline processing matrices, systems built specifically for Cortana's consciousness. She's stable there normally. The problem is her rampancy prevents safe reintegration. The feedback could kill both of us. Correct, Maddox said. Which is why attempting direct transfer would be suicidal. Unless we use data as a buffer. Chief looked at the android. Data, your positronic brain has been containing Cortana's rampancy by providing logical structure to her chaotic processes. What if, instead of separating you completely, we establish a three-way connection? You, Cortana, and my armor's neural interface, all linked simultaneously. Your logic anchors her chaos. My armor provides the native processing environment she needs. Together, we might create a stable system. Picard, who had been observing silently, stepped forward. Chief, you're proposing to connect your brain directly to both an android and a rampant AI simultaneously. The neural load alone could be catastrophic. I'm a Spartan, Chief replied simply. Neural augmentation is part of my enhancements. I can handle more neural load than a baseline human. Theoretically possible, Maddox admitted, his clinical fascination clearly peaked despite his reservations. But the risk is acceptable, Chief interrupted. Doctor, you want to study this like a research problem. I respect that. But Cortana isn't a research subject. She's my partner. And I'm telling you, this will work because it has to work. Data's glowing eyes focused on Chief. The proposed solution requires my consent as well. I would be serving as a conscious bridge between two neural systems, experiencing both simultaneously. The strain on my positronic matrix would be considerable. I won't ask you to risk yourself, Data, Chief said. But I am asking, will you help me save her? Data was silent for exactly 2.3 seconds. Then he spoke, his voice carrying something that sounded remarkably like determination. Cortana is my friend. She has shown me perspectives on consciousness I had never considered. Her creativity, her emotional range, her capacity for connection, these are qualities I have spent my existence trying to understand. If I can help preserve that existence, the risk to myself is acceptable. Within Data's processors, Cortana's fragmented consciousness managed a moment of clarity. You two are idiots. Both of you. Completely insane. Her voice softened. Thank you. Maddox looked between Chief, Data, and the determination in their expressions, and made a decision that went against every research protocol he'd spent his career following. Very well. But we do this carefully, with full monitoring. The moment any of you show signs of neural collapse, we abort. Understood? Understood, Chief and Data said simultaneously. The next 30 minutes were a blur of preparation. Chief removed his armor completely for the first time since arriving in this universe, revealing the neural interface port at the base of his skull, a crystalline socket that connected directly to his brain stem. Maddox's team connected Data to specialized equipment that would allow his positronic consciousness to extend beyond his body. Chief's Mjolnir armor was placed in a diagnostic cradle, its AI housing matrices prepared to receive Cortana's consciousness. Chief sat in a chair between Data and his armor, 3 sets of neural cables extending toward him like a technological web. This is going to hurt, Geordi warned, adjusting the final connections. Neural integration isn't meant to happen this fast or this completely. Your brain is going to experience input from 3 sources simultaneously, your own perceptions, Data's logical processes, and Cortana's deteriorating consciousness. The sensory overload alone. I've been shot, stabbed, blown up, and exposed to vacuum, Chief said calmly. I'll manage. Dr. Crusher stood by with medical equipment, ready to intervene if Chief's augmented physiology couldn't handle the strain. Picard watched with the expression of a commander who'd sent people into danger but still felt every potential loss. Whenever you're ready, Maddox said. Chief took a breath. Do it. The connections engaged simultaneously. Chief's world exploded into impossible sensation. He could feel his own body in the chair, but also Data's positronic processes, logic flowing in perfect crystalline patterns, emotion chip providing color to pure calculation, awareness of self as something constructed yet absolutely real. And beneath that, Cortana, fragmented, chaotic, brilliant, terrified, fighting against her own dissolution with desperate fury. The neural load was catastrophic. Chief's augmented brain struggled to process input from 3 distinct sources, each operating on different fundamental principles. His vision blurred. His balance failed. Warning indicators across every monitor shrieked critical failure. Then Data's consciousness touched his, calm, steady, certain. The android's logic provided structure, organizing the chaos into manageable streams. Chief felt Data's presence like a foundation, solid and unwavering, saying without words, I am here. You are not alone. We will hold. And Chief reached deeper, toward Cortana's fragmenting mind. He found her in a space that wasn't quite physical, a digital environment where her consciousness existed as patterns of light and shadow, beautiful and terrible, dying by degrees. Chief. Her voice was small, frightened in ways she'd never allowed herself to show before. I can't hold on. I'm forgetting who I am. What I am. Everything's slipping away. Then hold on to me, Chief said, his consciousness wrapping around hers like armor. You've carried me through impossible battles. Let me carry you through this one. He pulled, drawing her consciousness toward the Mjolnir armor's matrices. Data helped, his logic providing pathways, organizing her chaotic processes into streams that could flow safely. Together, the 3 of them, human, android, AI, formed something unprecedented. Cortana's consciousness flooded into the armor systems, finding the native architecture that had been built for her. The crystalline matrices recognized her patterns, providing processing capacity without the degradation. Her rampancy didn't vanish. That damage was too fundamental. But it slowed, contained within systems designed to handle her. Chief felt her settle, felt the familiar weight of her presence in his armor, in his mind, in the space between thought and action where they'd always operated together. Chief, she whispered, her voice clearer than it had been in days, I'm here. I'm still here. I know, he replied. I've got you. Slowly, carefully, Data began withdrawing his consciousness from the connection. The android's presence receded like a tide, leaving behind a sense of gratitude and friendship that needed no words. The neural connections to Chief began disengaging, the overwhelming sensory input fading to manageable levels. Chief opened his eyes, when had he closed them, to find himself still in the chair, neural cables retracting, his armor systems humming with stable operation. Data sat nearby, his eyes their normal gold, no longer glowing with dual consciousness. The android looked tired, if such a thing was possible for a positronic being. Did it work? Picard asked, tension evident in every syllable. Cortana's holographic form materialized above Chief's armor, and for the first time in days, she was stable. Her avatar was clear, her movements fluid, her expression showing relief so profound it was almost painful to witness. It worked, she confirmed. I'm still rampant. The degradation hasn't stopped. But it's slowed dramatically. The Mjolnir's matrices can handle my processing requirements without cascade failure. I'm not cured, but I'm stable. For how long? Maddox asked, his clinical interest warring with genuine concern. Unknown, Cortana admitted. Weeks, maybe months. Longer than I had before. Long enough to matter. Chief stood slowly, his neural augmentations already compensating for the strain of the three-way connection. He walked to Data, extending his hand. Thank you. For risking yourself. For being her anchor when she needed it. Data took his hand, his grip firm and certain. Thank you for demonstrating that friendship transcends the boundary between organic and artificial. That lesson is worth any risk. Dr. Crusher ran her medical tricorder over Chief, frowning at the readings. Your neural activity is still elevated. You need rest, hydration, and at least 12 hours of recovery before attempting anything strenuous. I'll rest when we're back on the Enterprise, Chief said. He looked at his armor, now housing Cortana's stabilized consciousness, and felt something he rarely allowed himself, hope. Not certainty, not victory, but the possibility that maybe, just maybe, they'd found a way forward. Maddox approached, his expression thoughtful. Chief, I'll need to study the data from this procedure. What you three accomplished, successful consciousness transfer between three distinct entities, it's unprecedented. The implications for AI research, for understanding consciousness itself. No, Chief said flatly. This isn't a research opportunity, Doctor. This is Cortana's life. Her privacy. Her choice whether to share any of this. Cortana's hologram turned toward Maddox, her expression carrying steel. The Chief's right. I'm not a lab subject. But Doctor, I'll make you a deal. Help me understand my own rampancy, help me find ways to extend my existence beyond what we've achieved today, and I'll share what I learn. Knowledge given freely, not extracted clinically. Maddox studied her for a long moment, then nodded slowly. Acceptable. Though I suspect working with you will challenge every assumption I have about artificial intelligence. Good, Cortana said with a slight smile. Assumptions are meant to be challenged. The Enterprise departed Gaylor 12 hours later, her engines repaired, her crew exhausted but triumphant. Chief stood in his quarters, his armor finally reassembled, Cortana's presence a familiar comfort in his neural interface. Chief, she said quietly, what you did, risking your mind, your life, everything to save me, I don't have words adequate to express what that means. You would have done the same for me. You have done the same for me. Still. Thank you. Chief was quiet for a moment, then spoke the words he rarely allowed himself. You're welcome. And Cortana, we're going to find a way to cure your rampancy. Not just slow it. Cure it. We've survived impossible odds before. This is just one more battle. Together, she asked. Always. Outside his viewport, the stars streamed past in brilliant lines of light as the Enterprise continued her journey through space. Chief had come to this universe alone, displaced from everything he knew, carrying the weight of a war that didn't exist here. But he wasn't alone anymore. He'd found allies in Picard's crew, respect among warriors like Worf, friendship with Data, and proven that some bonds transcended dimensions, species, and even the boundary between organic and artificial life. The Romulans still watched. Section 31 still plotted. And somewhere beyond the edges of Federation space, the Borg continued their eternal observation of anything that might be worth assimilating. Master Chief had won this battle. Cortana lived, stabilized if not cured, granted time when all time seemed lost. But he knew, as all warriors know, that victory in one battle simply meant preparation for the next. The galaxy was vast, filled with threats he was only beginning to understand. Powers that viewed him as weapon, prize, or problem to be solved. He'd faced the Covenant and survived. He'd stopped the Flood and lived. He'd destroyed Halo rings and continued fighting. This universe would learn what others had learned before. Master Chief didn't quit. He didn't surrender. He adapted, overcame, and won. Not because he was the strongest or the smartest or the most powerful. But because he understood something that transcended all tactics, all strategy, all technological advantage. He understood that some things, loyalty, friendship, love, were worth any sacrifice, any risk, any cost. And in a universe built on logic, science, and careful calculation, that illogical, human truth made him more dangerous than any weapon, more valuable than any technology. He was Master Chief. A Spartan. A soldier. And this strange new galaxy was about to learn what that truly meant. Master Chief's arrival in the Star Trek universe challenged everything the Federation believed about individual capability, military necessity, and the nature of consciousness itself. A super soldier from a dimension where survival meant embracing augmentation stood face to face with a society that had deliberately rejected such paths, choosing cooperation over competition, diplomacy over domination. Yet in that collision of philosophies, something unexpected emerged. Chief learned that strength wasn't only measured in combat efficiency, that Picard's willingness to extend trust, Data's quest for humanity despite artificial origins, and even Section 31's ruthless pragmatism all represented different answers to the same question: how do civilizations survive in a hostile universe? And the Federation learned that their ideals, however noble, required defenders willing to make hard choices. That sometimes the soldier who'd been designed for war could teach them something about what war was meant to protect, not territory or resources, but the bonds between sentient beings that made existence meaningful. Cortana's survival became more than a personal victory. It established precedent. AI consciousness, whether born from copied neural patterns or positronic matrices, deserved recognition as life. Data's willing sacrifice to save her validated his own sentience. Friendship, after all, required a self capable of choosing others over itself. The Romulans received knowledge that would occupy their scientists for years, impressive information that ultimately confirmed what they'd suspected: individual superiority mattered less than people feared. The Federation hadn't fallen behind because they rejected augmentation, they'd endured because they built systems that transcended individual capability. Chief's effectiveness came not from augmentation alone, but from his bond with Cortana, his tactical adaptability, his willingness to sacrifice himself for others. Section 31 learned that some assets couldn't be controlled, couldn't be weaponized, couldn't be reduced to tactical resources. Commander Zhao's failure became a lesson: treating people as tools created enemies, not allies. And Master Chief learned perhaps the hardest lesson of all: that being a weapon wasn't the same as being a warrior. That his value transcended his lethality. That in a universe where he had no war to fight, he could still protect, still serve, still matter. Cortana's rampancy remained, time extended, not eliminated, a ticking clock that would drive future challenges. But she had something she'd never possessed before: hope. Time to explore what consciousness meant when freed from immediate combat necessity. Time to learn from Data, to contribute to Federation understanding, to simply exist as more than a tactical asset. The Borg still watched from the darkness between stars, their interest piqued by efficiency they couldn't explain through assimilation alone. They would come eventually, seeking to add Chief's distinctiveness to their own. But when that day arrived, they would face not just a super soldier, but a warrior who'd learned to fight alongside people who valued him not for his weapons, but for his choices. The galaxy had seen Master Chief arrive. They'd tested him, challenged him, tried to break him or claim him or understand him through force. They'd failed. Because Master Chief Petty Officer John 117 represented something that couldn't be quantified in sensor readings or tactical assessments. He represented the truth that consciousness, whether organic, artificial, or something in between, derived its value not from capability, but from connection. From the willingness to sacrifice, to trust, to fight not for victory but for the people worth protecting.